Okay. You emailed it to me, you're saying? Or emailed it to you? Okay, let me see. Copy link, and I could go to Facebook to the amped, like, yeah. Okay, I'll do it. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you answering, Hubert, always. Thanks, buddy. All right, bye-bye. Are we ready? Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome. Hello. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoy the pizza. You're definitely not going to be disappointed that you came tonight. We have some heavy hitters back here in the world of chiropractic. These guys are hugely successful, just a couple years out of school, and they want to share their stories with you, how they did it, and how you can do it too. So if you like what you hear tonight and tomorrow morning, we have a launch club here on campus, and we meet every Friday, and we go over all this stuff in depth, and we practice, and it's really informative, and you should be there. Fridays at lunch in this room. So we have, like I said, these big guns back here. We have Dr. Eric Brower, who's in New York, and Dr. Claire Stewart in Tennessee. Happy to have a little female representation this time. Dr. Sam Stewart, all the way in the end. He is our club mentor and also out of Tennessee because they're married. And the man behind the beard, Dr. Michael Viscarelli. So, yes. So without further ado, here they are. Let's give it up.
Thank you, Kristen. Everybody hear me okay? Yeah. We good? First, I want to thank you so much for your hospitality. We're excited to be here. We're excited for this weekend. We love coming to Logan. This is our third time here. You've probably seen all over Facebook, social media that things are going to be a little bit different as far as some of the information share. We're going to go quite a bit more in depth. Tomorrow is going to be, I'm really excited because I just looked over some of the PowerPoint and information tomorrow, and it's just going to be stacked with information. But I want to thank you, thank the club leaders in Launch, Kristen, Kyle, Mark, John, Adrian, and Taylor. They put a lot of work in this, getting the pizza and everything like that. So Taylor's car. So let me introduce myself real quick, just in case you haven't seen me here. My name is Dr. Sam Stewart. We have a practice, my wife and I, we have practice in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's just outside Nashville. But kind of my chiropractic story, I have a great chiropractic story in regards to how it's changed my life. I suffered with migraine headaches. I had difficulty breathing. I was diagnosed with asthma. And long story short, a couple months into chiropractic care, it allowed me to get away from my steroid inhaler. I don't get the migraines that I used to. And from that point on, really right then in high school, I wanted to become a chiropractor and just get a chance to help people. And it was really as simple as that. And I worked for a chiropractor during college, my undergrad, and great guy, great person. And I love him very much to this day, but didn't really equip me, in hindsight, didn't really equip me to be able to run the practice. But my goal going into chiropractic school was, well, I'll get through it. You know, I'll get my grades, I'll get through boards, and then I'll go back and I'll be an associate at this guy's office. And so that was my thought going into it. Once I got there on campus, my whole goal, I didn't know anybody. My whole goal was to meet somebody that I could kind of see as a mentor and follow that person and see if he can kind of help me build me through school, because I was pretty intimidated by all the courses that I was going to have to take. And I got a chance to meet some of these guys, and I'm really extremely grateful for them being ahead of me and getting a chance to kind of show me how to just be excellent in school. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right around third quarter, I really made Dr. Claire's wildest dreams come true. And she, of course, said yes. And so, yeah, so she said yes. It took her a while to kind of, because she was a little starstruck. So anyway, we started dating in third quarter, so it was about like 6 months into school. 2 years later, we got married. Year and a half later, we gave birth to our first kid, Lucy, and then we opened a practice. We opened a practice, and then we had Lucy 2 weeks after we opened, and it's been just fantastic. It's been a very exciting ride. We had our biggest week this past week. We had our biggest day this past week. It's just a ton of fun getting a chance to help people, and so I'm excited to be here. And one thing before we kind of continue and kind of go through introductions. Burn up notes tonight, but write down notes, write up questions. We're here this weekend for you guys, and so if you guys have questions about anything, please let us know. We want to make sure that there's 100% clarity as far as what your vision is, and we want to make sure that you can be as successful as possible, because I know that if I didn't have some of the people that I could look up to, there's no way we would have the success that we have today. And so that's really what the whole purpose and objective is about Launch.
Awesome.
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Claire Stewart. This is my first time here, so it's really exciting for me to be here with you guys tonight. And I've heard so many great things about this school. I've heard so many great things about the students, and we're really, really excited to have you guys join our profession, and really open some great offices right off the bat. I hope that everything that we share tonight is just extremely beneficial for you and for your communities, and so we're gonna have a lot of fun. But anyway, he covered a lot, I guess, about us. Something that's really unique about us and our situation is that we did have a baby a month into practice, and so that's something that I know a lot of you guys have kids, or maybe you're gonna be having kids, or desire to have kids soon. That's something that is such a blessing, and we, it didn't really slow us down one bit, and we still, have a great balanced family life. But really, I don't have an amazing chiropractic testimonial. I didn't have asthma or migraines or something crazy happened to me. But what I can tell you is that when I first started chiropractic school, I didn't really know what chiropractic was. And then it didn't take me long to realize what chiropractic really is and what it can be for you and for your future communities. I just remember really the first week of school, kind of through orientation, the first couple weeks of school, when I was getting to know what chiropractic was, my paradigm completely shifted. And that's when I realized that our bodies were designed to heal from the inside out. And from then, my life has been completely changed, and I've completely run after that fact. And I've completely run after how am I going to be able to deliver that fact to the world. And so that's really been my goal, my focus, that's my heart. I'm going to be able to speak tonight on pediatrics and pregnancy. And so that's an extremely important population that hopefully you guys have our heart for as well. But yeah, thanks so much for having me, and it's really good to meet you guys.
What did y'all see this week?
860.
Wow, give it up. That's awesome. I'm very pregnant right now.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it's a lot of energy to do that. These women are super moms and super chiropractors. It's an awesome balance. I give you credit, we couldn't do it.
No.
Not even close.
Talking about having a wife.
We'd be whining all day. So I'm Dr. Eric Brower. Thanks for having us out here. So these two, I remember them. I was about a year ahead of them in school, about a year and a half. And we went different paths, I would say. When I came to chiropractic school, I knew very little about chiropractic. And in fact, I was actually very worried about just passing chiropractic school, because there was a long time through undergrad where I really wasn't focusing the way I should. I was wrestling in college, and you know, I don't know if you know anything about college wrestlers or anything like that, but
I can tell
we
you.
weren't focused on the right things. You know what I mean? So, we were worried about partying and then just training, and that was really it. So, you know, school. Once I realized I wanted to be a chiropractor, and everything went into that. It's something aligned in me. I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor. It went off. It was like an aha moment that you can be a chiropractor, and I just looked into it, but I didn't know really what it was. So when I went to chiropractic school, I didn't want to be a failure. You know, that was my biggest thing. I just had this anxiety about just not being able to pass the classes, and so that's really all I did. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment, you know, no smartphone and no cable and no internet, and I just literally studied. And it's like sounds like a grandma story. I walked through the snow and to get to school, but I realized really what I did, and I focused on getting good grades, and I focused on getting good grades, and I went to the gym all the time. So I was like pretty much a meathead, yeah, and then I got to a point where I always knew I should be preparing though. Right? I'm like, that the finish line is coming. And I don't know what it's going to, I had no idea. I'm like, well, you know, maybe get a little bit of like the athletes over here and take care of the families in the back. I had no idea what I didn't know whatsoever. I was like, just try a little bit of this. Maybe I'll open up with a buddy. That'd be kind of fun. And then like maybe but I didn't really want to work under anybody because I heard a lot of bad stories about that. So I knew I wanted to open my own, so I knew I had to get very, very prepared. And then it was like, oh my goodness, you know, I think I was about 2 or 3 quarters from graduating, and thankfully, you know, I saw them as examples of, you know, they were second quarter and we had quarters where we went to Life University, and they were just so on point, and them and their group of friends, and we see that with other campuses across here, like you guys here, some of the students here, and then, you know, Michael kept trying to pull me. And it was really humbling because I was always like, everything I was doing I was good at, you know, and I was horrible at like talking chiropractic, communicating a message, humbling myself, going and talking to strangers. I was horrible at that. So it was the hardest thing on the planet for me to ever have to do to get over that. And to like go to these people and like just be the worst person in the room at something, like the complete worst. So I just kept humbling myself. And then, you know, I got in the game late, and our first year was really, really tough. And I wouldn't wish it upon anybody on how hard we had to push. And I think most people probably would have thrown in the towels if I didn't have really good accountability groups and people around me. But, you know, we really made a run for it. And my wife and I, she's not a chiropractor, but she's pretty much full-time in the office. We have a newborn baby. She's 3 months old, and we have a 2-year-old son. So that's my story.
That's awesome. So I'm going to start by telling you some stories about wrestlers. One comes to mind very quickly. So let's get started. My name's Michael Viscarelli. I practice in beautiful Golden, Colorado. Really grateful for that. I'm from Maine originally. And the guy that got me into chiropractic actually went to Logan, him and his wife. So they're huge losers. And, just kidding. Actually, this is one of my favorite schools to come to. This is my, I think my 4th week on a road for a launch tour, 4th weekend in a row. And I think maybe it's 3. I don't know. And so I'm a chiropractor.
You know what year it is?
I don't. And you know, this is one of my favorite schools to come to. There's a great spirit of excellence with the student body here. Everybody that we've had interactions with have just been totally excellent. We love that. We have a preceptor in our office right now from Logan, and you guys are going to hear from him this evening. But my journey was totally different in school. I never failed at anything in my life. I was always very successful at anything that my parents pushed me to do, that I chose to do. I too was an athlete, a college athlete, and I played ice hockey, so we're far more butch than wrestlers, but and women liked us a lot more.
Really?
Shut up, Claire. So, you know, so when I got to chiropractic school, I took some very poor advice, and a lot of times when we're in school, we're going to take a lot of poor advice from different people, and we need to watch who we allow speak into our lives, and I allow that stupid lie, and you guys can raise your hand when you've heard this, okay? That lie that says C is for chiropractic. Who's heard that? Right? It means you just get by. And if you miss a C, it's a D, which is also an F. And that's the way it was at Life University. I assume it's the same way here. And so I was just getting by, but then I fell short a couple times. And when you fall short a couple times, that's okay. But when you fall short a couple more times and you're just living close to the edge, what happens is they give you a very special designation in school, and it's called probation. And I've never been on probation in my life. I broke out once and jail. They never caught me. So I got put on probation, and I was on my honeymoon with my wife, and we were renovating a home before we were getting married. So we moved into it, and we got married because we don't live in sin and all this sort of stuff. And so we ended up, I ended up failing another class, and while I was on probation, I found out while I was on my honeymoon when I was in Aruba, and they kicked me out of school. And so it's really, really difficult for me. And a lot of people, you may not understand that struggle, but my struggle was in school. So I had to fight and overcome so many things in school to get back on track and have them accept me back into school, which required me to take one class a quarter and get an A in it until I got off probation. And one thing about probation is kind of like a bank account. It takes a long time to build up that bank account, but it doesn't take very much time to deplete it. And so I was in the negative, as like insufficient funds in school. And so it took me over a year and a half of taking one class a quarter. But I'd ask myself how bad I wanted it. And so unfortunately what we find in the chiropractic field is that a lot of people live so close to the edge in chiropractic. We're going to share some of that with you this evening. That when they have a couple of hiccups, those setbacks, that'll put them into the negative, or that'll knock them down. They won't be able to get back up and push through. And we love what we do. So he must have already hated what we were talking about. I'm sorry, I never offended him. So it didn't take long. I think that made me a new personal record. So for us, we want to see. We love what we do so much, and we all have young children. I have a 6.5-month-old. How old's Emmy? Like 3 months, and then he has Lincoln that's just over a year. It's like we sacrifice so much to come on the road, and last year I think we were on the road for like 28 weekends or something like that. And we have young practices. Okay, how long have you been in practice? 4 years?
About 4.5 now.
About 4.5 years,
Yeah.
2.5, and I'm almost to 3. At the kind of 1st of June will be 3 years in practice. And so for us, it's very, very important for you guys because this is relevant information. We didn't make our success, and success is defined differently for everybody. We didn't make our success in the Mercedes 80s. We are not insurance dependent practices. We're cash practices. Though we may take some insurance, and we're all different. But we are not insurance dependent. We practice a very specific form of chiropractic, not technique dependent, but in terms of how we communicate chiropractic, how we reach our public, how we connect, how we create value, all those things. And it's done in this economy, in this generation of healthcare, in this generation of chiropractic. And that's why it's so relevant for you gumost Because you're not listening to people that have been 10, 15, 30 years in a practice and talking about the days that they bought their first Mercedes Benz. Okay? Most of us still have student loans, right? Most of us, still get beat up on some days, and some days are harder than others. And we're still learning to a degree, but we're excelling. There's no doubt about that. And when we share some of the statistics with you guys about what the majority of the chiropractic profession is versus what the opportunity is before you, is completely different. And I want you guys to understand that there does not have to be a starvation period. That's one of our biggest encouragements to you. Has anyone heard about the starvation period? Right? And so I want you guys to understand there doesn't have to be. You create the starvation or you create the abundance. There's no doubt about it. And it's all based upon what happens in this room, what happens in these walls of this school, what happens before you walk off this campus, in your levels of preparation, what you've gotten comfortable with before you head out. And that's the purpose of Launch Tour. So it's never really the same group of people every single time we come. We go all over the country. We were just in San Francisco last weekend. We were in Atlanta the weekend before. We're all over the place. And the reason being is that we believe in creating critical mass of a bunch of young, very innovative and creative chiropractors coming right out of school and being abundantly successful so we can properly represent chiropractic to the communities that we serve. Does that make sense? So that's the heartbeat of this. And that is why we're here. That's why we sacrifice. And we want you guys, this is the war room. This is where we can be 100% transparent. This is where you guys can ask questions. This is when we can get real before we go out and it gets real on us. Does that make sense? And we got students from Palmer all the way over here, guys, that came out here because that's how much they value this Launch Tour. They drove all the way from Palmer. They drove last time too. All right, and these guys, they're not deep thinkers. They go to Palmer. But they're nice people. And so be nice and feed them a little bit. Give them like a crust from your pizza or whatever. They'll eat it. They won't talk to you. They'll grunt. But we want you guys to get comfortable. I know a lot of you don't know us from Adam, but we're very, very real, 100% transparent. Who's been out to my practice that's in this room? Okay, so there's a decent amount of people besides the Palmer kids. Who's been out to the Browers? Anyone in here yet been to the Browers? I know they're up in New York. Ours is a little bit closer.
Mitch is on the books.
Mitch is on the books. Mitch is coming out. What about to the Stewards? Who's been to the Stewards so far? Okay, so some of you have been to the Stewards. So you know that we're an open book from start to finish. Our goal is to provide you guys with information, get as many answers out of your into your head and questions out of your head. Does that make sense? And so write things down, take notes, ask us questions. Tomorrow morning will be a total breakout of where we're going to go to, and we're going to break down everything in practice. From startup expenses to overhead monthly to things you can do to prepare and practice. We're going to give the 30,000-foot view of what does it look like if we pluck the roof off of the practice and walk you through the front door from a practice member or patient experience. Okay? And we're going to give examples of it. We're going to role play like cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, bad cop, good cop. He's always the bad cop. It's so stupid. But anyway, so we're going to get started. We're so grateful you guys are here. Thank you for coming and supporting Launch Tour. Hope you enjoyed the pizza. Because we didn't get a single piece. You guys ate it so fast. But we're so grateful you're here. We're going to get started right now. We can start pulling chairs. But Dr. Sam Stewart's going to get started. I want to share a moment about what my experience was with Dr. Sam in school. Dr. Sam is your club mentor here from Launch Club at Logan. And you're very lucky to have him and Claire as they are total servants. I think that's the hardest thing for students to understand. And we're just removed from these seats. So when we speak to students and say what we understand about students, is because we were just removed from these seats. So we're not condescending or speaking down to you. We remember exactly what it's like. I saw Irene Gold board review, and I got the squirts a little bit. I was like, you know, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all. I actually somebody was talking, I just literally, I couldn't even listen to it. So I understand. I did say squirts. But these guys in school had a total spirit of service, total spirit of excellence. All they wanted to do was learn, humble themselves, get over the obstacles, and move forward so that they could serve their community in a very successful way. I remember when they came out to our practice when we were building it out, and they came out and we had they were pregnant. I had some studs up in our practice. You know, we built our practice just like them from the ground up. We were starting to study it out. I mean, the fears, the excitement, all of the different sensations that you'll get going through this process. They were so confident that they were going to be successful because everything that they did in school. So when I meet people that are early in school and they're a little bit worried about, well, I'm only in second quarter, so I'm learning a bunch of different things. They got started in the second quarter, they picked what they wanted to do, and they owned it all the way through school. So when they got out, they had very few questions in their heads. They didn't have to ask many questions of any of us for many, many months and open their practice because that's how prepared they were. And they have one of the largest chiropractic health centers in all of Tennessee. And Tennessee is a very, very competitive state. There's a lot of wonderful chiropractors in Tennessee. They have done some amazing things right out of the gates in practice, 2.5 years in, raising a family, total balance, wonderful relationship, total service to the community. I'm grateful for you guys here from Dr. Sam Stewart.
All right. Well, thank you again. It is such an honor to be able to share the same stage with literally some of the, in my opinion, some of the best chiropractors I've ever met, and I think the world's ever seen. And so just to be on the same platform with them is an honor. So I'm gonna real quick before I kind of dive into the slides, I want to I just saw something the other day. I want to kind of share it with you. Has anybody heard the Rob Conrad story? Anybody see that? He's a Miami Dolphin, and I saw the story, and Dr. Claire's cousin used to play for the Dolphins, and so it kind of piqued my interest. But Rob Conrad, he was an ex-Miami Dolphin, and recently, I think it's about 3 weeks ago, he took his fishing boat from Fort Lauderdale, Navarro Beach area, and it's a 21-foot fishing boat, and he was doing some regular maintenance on it, and he started going out to the ocean, and he was trolling along, and he decided to kind of throw a line out, see if he'd get lucky. He was fishing along, and about 9 miles out from the shore, a big wave came unexpectedly, threw him out into the ocean. He was in the ocean, no one was with him, he didn't have a life vest on, and the boat was on autopilot going the other way. And he really had two choices at that moment. He could try to conserve energy the best he could and tread water and hope and pray that someone comes soon, or he could try to swim back to the beach. And so he shed his clothes and he started swimming back towards the beach. And due to the cold. I mean, it was about, I think they said the water was about 73 degrees, not freezing, but enough to create some hypothermia. As he swam and started his trek, he had to swim through schools of jellyfish. They said that a shark actually did figure eights around him for a point. Eventually, 16 hours later, he reached shore. When he got at shore, he was so fatigued, he was so dehydrated, he wasn't able to stand up. So once he hit shore, he had to army crawl all the way up the beach to the nearest beach house, knocked on the door. It's 4:30 in the morning. Thankfully, someone was there. They immediately got him, took him straight to the hospital. He's there at the hospital for about 3 days, treated for severe dehydration, treated for rhabdomyolysis, which is like breakdown of muscle tissue, hypothermia. He was there for 3 days, and towards the end of the 3 days, once he was released from the hospital, immediately they wanted to do, get him in front of press and get a chance to interview him and see what was going on. So it was immediately from the hospital. He went up to this press release. What do you call that? Press conference. It's very difficult to say. So he did this press conference, and he goes up, and he's hardly able to walk. He has a bottle of water in one hand. His wife's helping him walk on this stage in the other. And inevitably, the question came up, Rob, how could you possibly do this act that seems unbelievable, that seems like even the best of swimmers could not do? You swam, they estimated that he swam 27 miles due to the current and the direction that he was going in the water for 16 hours. They said that due to the salt water, his tongue was swollen to the size of his tennis ball. They said, how could you possibly do this? How could you get through the jellyfish? How could you get through the shark? How could you do these things? And he said, the whole time I just envisioned my two daughters, my 8-year-old daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, sitting on the beach waiting for me to get them and tuck them in that night. He said, that's what kept me alive, was my vision of seeing my daughters on the beach. And I read that read that story, and it impacted me because it made me think, what is my vision? What is our vision? If I can use that analogy of Ron Conrad, I feel like we all could say that we're in some way we're in a boat, right? And maybe we're rocking in a boat, and maybe something comes along like midterms or exams or something personally in your life, and maybe it rocks the boat a little bit more, and maybe something even knocks you out of the boat, and maybe you're in the water without a life vest and the boat's on autopilot going the other way, right? And then we have a choice. Do we have a choice to listen to some of that chatter or listen to some of that, or do we have a vision and what that vision is for maybe your future practice or your future community, and making sure that vision is focused and super sharp? And maybe some of this chatter that, the 60% of chiropractors don't make it, or whatever the percentage is that they eventually fail, that statistic doesn't apply to you. That statistic doesn't apply to me because of our focus and our vision and what we're going to be able to do for our future community. And so I'm going to talk tonight about business excellence. And let me see if I can work this. Last time I couldn't, so. Well. So business excellence to me is it's really all about three things. And the first thing is relationships. Relationships built on trust. And what I've found and what I've been told is that people really care about two things when they meet you, whether it's about chiropractic and a future practice member, or if it's anybody that you're starting a relationship. They want to be able to know that, can you help me? And then, can I trust you? Okay? And if relationships are built on trust, the do to kind of really help on that is make sure that this is going to sound, very simple and maybe something you already know, but smile, okay? And make sure that it's a genuine type smile. If you don't genuinely smile, try to work on that if you can, because people are attracted to that. Eye contact, I know there was a study I saw one time, and it said that if you look at the person's right eye rather than their left eye, then people are more likely to trust you. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do it anyway. And so make sure that you can smile and make good eye contact. That's a definite do. I would say a big don't with any type of relationship, specifically your future practice members, any type of fear tactic. And they're out there in chiropractic, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, okay? But fear, any type of fear that's not built on trust, and it's not built on any type of integrity. And so I know that that's kind of an old school way, in my opinion, that a lot of times chiropractors have gotten people under care. But that's no longer the way to do it. Okay, integrity, making sure that people, A, know that you can help them, and B, that they can trust you. I love this saying, people forgive many things where trust exists, but will rarely forgive anything when trust is absent. And that's definitely the case with business, period. The second is hard work, okay? Very groundbreaking stuff. You have to work hard, right? So do what others won't because they're not willing to put in the work. Now, when you go out, whether you're associating or whether you're opening a practice, some of the things you need to be able to do to get your name out there might consist of things like door-to-door or business-to-business, going business-to-business. Other things might be doing health talks at any type of business, whether it's corporate or just a small pop shop, okay? Now, a lot of those things, I remember when Dr. Claire and I were getting ready to prepare for our own practice, our goal was to get 12,000 contacts. How we were going to do that was to go knock door-to-door residential, meet people at business-to-business, go to marketing meetings, try to do different health talks. And we missed that goal. We just got over 9,000 contacts through that. But people started calling in from our school and saying, well, how, they could just kind of heard of some of the success we were having, and they would ask, how'd you guys get this, or how'd you guys set up this health talk? I saw this on Facebook, or I saw that, or someone told me this, and we would just tell them basically, well, we went door to door, we did screenings, we went business to business, and a lot of times we would hear comments like, I just don't know if I like doing screenings, or I don't know about just going door to door. It doesn't seem like something a doctor should do. And my response to that would be just get over it. Okay. Do whatever it takes within integrity to reach more people. And so if it means that you need to, whatever, go to a field and do burpees to meet somebody, then go do that to meet that somebody. If you need to be able to go and do that. And so whether it's door to door, business to business, health talks, what's interesting is, I'll tell a quick side note. A lot of the people this past, I guess in 2015, we've been open 2 months, January, February. We've had 3 different families that have come in and started care as families that we met door to door over almost 3 years ago. Because people appreciate that face-to-face contact. There's so much through social media and websites and everything like that. Any type of face-to-face contact you have, people remember that, because that's fewer and fewer, as we get more digitalized. Okay, so the big don't with hard work is just don't let your ego write checks that your talent can't cash. Humble yourself, okay? Whatever it takes to be able to meet somebody. You guys have a service, your practice has a service that that people need. And so you need to be able to get that to them. So what is that? Any of those things and more, right? Thirdly is mindset. So you guys have probably seen that picture before. Okay, sometimes Dr. Michael said we'd be transparent here. Sometimes I actually physically think about that before I go into meetings and things. Okay, because I may feel like a young guy. I may feel like I'm not even 30 yet. I'm going into businesses that people maybe their 50s, their 60s. They're well structured. Well, I go to a Rotary meeting once a week, and in our area, there's like 170 people at that breakfast meeting. And it's the mayor of our town's there, a congresswoman's there when she's not in Washington, the president of our college is there, surgeons, orthopedics, the kind of the who's who in our city is there. And I have to really have the mindset of, again, what is my goal? Well, people need specific chiropractic, neurologically based chiropractic care. And if I go in and I'm going a little bit timid, or maybe I feel like I just want to kind of sit in the back, well, that's going to not really allow myself to potentially change somebody's life that day, okay? And so I really literally try to go in those meetings, or whether I go into business to business or door to door, go in humbly, but at the same time with complete excellence, try to be able to walk in that excellence and walk with authority and have authority in what you say, so that people can respond to that and feel confident in that, trust, as well as know that you can help them, okay? Big do, remember your why, and that it's not going to be stopped. So whether you go in, you don't feel like doing a screening, or I don't feel like doing this talk, what's your why? What keeps you going? Okay, Dr. Claire, her big why is getting the chance to help pregnant moms. She's very passionate about the birthing process and the natural way to do it. She's very passionate about helping kids. That's what gets her going. My why is families and getting a chance to help athletes and just getting a chance to help as many people as possible. So whatever that is, your mindset, you need to be able to know your why, revisit it daily, write it on your mirrors, write it on your hand, get a tattoo of it on your face, whatever it takes. That's a joke. So don't run away from objections, confront and address them. Okay, so sometimes there's objections. I know here in St. Louis recently there was some sort of slanderous thing on the news about chiropractic and strokes, right? Which is completely outdated, and there's zero research to support that one bit. But don't run away from that. Okay, you know the truth. So try to get your lumps in school. You've heard Dr. Michael say that once or twice already. Get your lumps in school. Talk to people about that. Talk to people not in chiropractic school about that. Okay, get your lumps now. Get beat up now. But remember what your why is. They might get real ugly, and they might say some things that aren't so nice. Okay, but you're not going to be stopped because you know what your why is and you lean on your why. Okay. That's cool. So what can I do now to prepare myself for business excellence? I didn't even do that on purpose. That's excellent, right? So what can I do now to prepare myself for business excellence? Because I know some of you here are months out. I know some of you here are years out from graduating. Some of you might know this is exactly what I'm doing while I'm graduating. Others might say, well, I might associate, I might do this. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. Well, this applies to anybody and everybody. 3 things. Write this down. First one, make an effort to hang out with successful people. This is the #1 best thing that I did in school. I sought out people that were doing excellent things in school. I was there. I was with them. If they invited me to go practice technique or something at their house on the weekend, I was there. If they wanted to hang out and grab a cup of coffee and study or something, if they were someone I visualized to be successful, then I was absolutely there. Okay. If you don't even see some of those people and you don't feel like, well, gosh, I'm at Logan and there's no one excellent here. Just joking. So, joking. So, if you feel like that, go, read some good books that talk about that. Look at YouTube videos that talk about that. Okay. Secondly, go to Launch Club. These guys that I know, I've gotten a chance to know them pretty well. They all fit in that excellent category. They do things well. Go to Launch Club, get better every day, learn how to make your words count. I know that when I was in high school, I played basketball quite a bit. My coach, before we'd even walk onto the gym floor, he would say, don't even walk onto the gym floor until you're ready and committed to be able to make sure that you're going to be a better player after the day's over. And I think that applies to you before you wake up in the morning. Why even get out of bed unless you're going to make yourself better that day? Okay, go to Launch Club and make sure that you show up every time. And I never missed a club when I was in school. Dr. Michael never missed a club when he was in school. Dr. Brower, once he was committed later in school, he never missed a club. Lastly, quit complaining. Okay, I'm not far from chiropractic school. I felt like maybe it's not like this in Logan, but at Life University, it felt like all we did was complain. Our boards are coming up, or this teacher's like this, or this test is like this, or that was unfair, or loan's not coming in, or that. Learn now to quit complaining. Okay, and I know that might sound kind of funny, but it's not. If you want to be business excellence and make an impact on people's lives, make sure that you're not complaining and that you just don't say any negative words with that. Okay, I know that pictures are worth 1,000 words, and I said a lot of words, but I think this picture can kind of tell it all. Here's a picture of business excellence right here. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So, but I actually am being serious. I know a lot of times when we think business excellence, you think, oh, well, I've got to wear a shirt and tie, or I've got to wear a white coat, or I've got to, appear this way and look this way. Above all else, be yourself. Okay, I couldn't pull off that look. Okay, but that's Dr. Michael Viscarelli. And so, and I've been at his practice. I've seen it. It's the real deal. People absolutely love Dr. Michael because he's Dr. Michael, but he does it in a very excellent way. So whatever that looks like to you, strive for that. Okay. Let me ask. I know my time's running short, but let me say a quick story I was just thinking about. When I was an undergrad, our dean of students was a Navy SEAL, and just a really cool guy. And his name's Woody Shoemaker. But I got a chance to spend some time with him, and he has some just really great stories. he told one story how towards the end of Hell Week they wouldn't allow the SEALs to sleep at all the whole week, and at the very end of the week they would grab a 2x4 and suspend it 6 feet in the air, and they would have them lay on that 2x4, and if they had good enough balance they could sleep, but once they kind of hit a deep sleep they'd fall right off and hit their face and they'd get right back up again, and they would do that all night long for about 6-7 hours. They'd talk another time about how he would be on the beach and they would have to sing Christmas carols, and the drill sergeants would spray him with water, and if they ever went to sleep or if they stopped singing because they were shivering too much, they had to submerge themselves in the water again and come out. Just some pretty fantastic stories. He said the only time that he was ever scared and the only time he was ever afraid that he wasn't going to make it is one time that he was in Vietnam. And he was telling me this story, and it feels like he told me this yesterday, even though this was about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago. He said that they were in Vietnam and they were just given a directive, and what their directive was to basically, they were in the woods and they had to go across this field and carry on some information to the rest of the troop over there. It was him, about 5 other SEALs, and his sergeant. But the caveat is the field had reeds about this high, about 4 feet high, and they knew from their SEAL training that what the Vietnamese love to do is to basically hide in those reeds, and that's when they would wait till they get out of the woods, and that's when they would kind of snipe them at that point. And he said he felt there the first time he was ever scaled through the training, through everything he already experienced in Vietnam, was the first time he was ever scared. He could feel like a presence, like someone was watching him, and he just knew, like, if he went out there that something good wasn't going to happen. You've probably felt that before, like someone's watching you. And so they crouched down, they're getting ready, and he said the sergeant in arms turned around and he could tell that Woody was shaking, and he turned around and he said, Woody, and Woody said he'll never forget this. I don't think I ever will either, but he said, Woody, there's a lot of people counting on you, most of whom you've never met. And what he was saying, what he meant that was the troops that were waiting for the directive, his fellow SEALs that were waiting for them to be able to do what they're supposed to do. But not just that, but the people waiting in America, waiting to make sure that their freedom was still intact. Maybe his wife, his future wife, maybe his kids, maybe his grandkids. There's a lot of people counting on him, most of whom he hasn't even met yet. And I feel like that really applies to us. I think about that quite a bit. I think about that at least on a daily basis. There's a lot of people counting on me, most of whom I've never met. There's people in my community I know that I haven't met yet that are still sick and suffering. I know there's people in Kyle's community, they're just waiting for Kyle to get out of school and be excellent at what he does right out of the gate so that they can help him with his health concerns. Dr. Jeremy said once before, Dr. Jeremy Hess, you guys, most of you know, he said that there's probably literally people on their knees praying for answers for their health, okay? Literally praying, waiting for you to get out of school to be able to help them. And there's a lot of people counting on you, not just your family, maybe your parents to graduate and do these things, but a lot of people counting on you and your community who you haven't even met yet. And what's really outstanding, and Dr. Claire, we just talked about this on the way up, is just people after they get their first adjustment or after their first reassessment, they're getting off their medications, they say, Dr. Sam, I'm off all my migraine medications. And we hear that on a pretty regular basis. And so we're like, all right, great. And they say, no, you don't understand. I've been praying to get off these for over 10 years. I've been praying for my kid to get off this asthma medication for over 5 years. Okay, and what allows us to be able to see that impact is to be able to walk with business excellence, but be prepared when you're at school. And you guys are in a good place here at Logan. You guys have an excellent club here at Logan, and I appreciate you guys letting me get a chance to share a little bit. I'm excited for tomorrow too. I have the honor of introducing our next speaker. She is tall, blonde, and her name is Claire. She is obviously, you know, my wife, and I'm going to say wonderful things about her, but just a little brief back on her. She has done everything ever since I've known her with absolute excellence. When she was in high school, way before I knew her, she's one of the largest schools in the Indianapolis area. She was varsity. She lettered in 3 different sports. She set a record in her and a track event. She's also was student body president, and she also maintained a 4.2 GPA at the same time. So she is a master of multitasking and a master of doing things extremely well at that time. She makes our team go. She makes our practice run fluidly the way it is. When she was in school, she was being groomed to be a leader of multiple clubs on campus in the first or second quarter that she was even there. And so I'm really excited that she's here because I know about half of the crowd here are female docs, and I know you're going to be able to learn a lot from her. Please pick her brain as well. She's available to be able to do that when I'm not so needy for her need. All right, thank you so much.
Hey, Sam, could you get me a chair real quick in case I need to sit? All right. Oh, thanks. Well, I'm like I said earlier. Perfect. Well, like I said earlier, I'm really, really excited to be here. It's the first time I've ever been here, and I just keep hearing great things about you guys. So please enjoy what I have to say. Please enjoy tonight. But really, what I want to talk about is like I already mentioned, my why in chiropractic is the kids, the families, and the pregnant moms. Because obviously it's an extremely vulnerable group, pregnant moms. You know, we're really, really cognizant of who we let speak into our lives, who we trust, who our healthcare providers are, and even more so when we become moms. You better watch out when we talk about our children and who's going to touch our children and who's going to make the health decisions for our children. And so we have had just an amazing opportunity to be able to reach a lot of kids and a lot of pregnant moms in our community, and we're going to delve into some specifics tonight. Can you play that video? This is for your enjoyment. Oh, it's going to take a second then. Well, this upcoming video is actually a video of my daughter when she was about a year old. So this is about a year ago. And she, during the first pretty much year and a half of her life, she spent in the Stewart Chiropractic Center. There we go. I guess we can watch it though.
Life students would never screw this up.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that.
Dr. David does all my comments.
Okay, anyway, well, hopefully we can get it to close later because obviously the cutest kid, the cutest thing in the world. But basically, it's just a video of her attempting to adjust Dr. Sam on a kitchen floor. Because her entire first year and a half of her life, she was in the practice with us, pretty much. About a month after giving birth to Lucy, I was back in the practice as much as I could be. And it's such a healthy, fun environment for a child. She gets to see us helping people. She gets to help us give out handouts. People get to hold her and just create such a warm environment for people to bring their kids to us and to trust us, and also for us to share a little bit of our real life with our practice members. And so if you guys have kids, or if you're going to have kids, I really highly recommend you take your kids in with you as much as you can. But unfortunately, in the United States, we have some staggering statistics about children's health. All of these were from the CDC. These are honestly just a few that I could have picked out, but we all know this. Well, hopefully you guys know this, that pretty much every disease, every neurological disorder is on the rise right now in the United States. All right, our C-section rates are up to 33%, and really research shows it should be at the emergency percentage of about 8 to 10%. Okay, 14% of the United States children have been diagnosed with asthma. It's up 28% in the last 10 years, and 11% of the U.S. children are diagnosed with ADHD. And also, we're getting more and more strict legislation on vaccinations and our options as parents, and what we can do as healthcare providers for them as well. So unfortunately, our kids are getting sicker and sicker, right? And sick kids make sick adults, right? I think we can all agree on that. And unfortunately, if these sick kids don't come into our offices or don't have someplace they can turn to besides medicine and the traditional route, they'll probably get sicker, right? And we're not going to be able to give them help unless we know how to get them into our office. And once we get them into our office, how we can get their parents to trust us, right? And so, and I promise you, it doesn't happen by accident. I don't just put a bunch of posters on the wall, and we don't just, tell people that our kid gets adjusted and it poof, it just doesn't happen like that. And so if you guys have a heart for kids like I do, and a heart for pregnant moms and families, we have to prepare in order to see them and in order to get them in our doors. But in my opinion, it's kind of the most fun population, but really it's one of the hardest populations, just as I already alluded to, because people are very protective. A husband is really protective of his pregnant wife, right? And a mom and a dad are really, really protective of their children. And so for them to think of a traditional chiropractor, right, as popping bones, right, and cracking necks, then they're never going to think to bring their kids to a chiropractor unless we break through that mold. And like I said, it has to come with intention and preparation on our part. But in my opinion, there's two things that really we can do to see them and to be able to help these kids and these moms. But two things, we need to develop more trust with them, and we need to have more influence. So in terms of trust, Dr. Sam really kind of hit on that a lot, but people want to know that you care before they care what you know, or things the other way around. But they want to know that you care, and that's going to be a big trust builder. But really, as far as influence, what I mean by that is you have to come from a position, we have to come from a position as a healthcare provider to be able to take them from point A and influence them enough to where they're going to trust us to first get their kid evaluated, and then first get their kid their first adjustment, and then take care of them for the rest of their lives, right? So the number one way that we can influence people, the first thing that influences people is number one, by what they see, right? What do they see when they see us? What do they see when they see our facility? What do they see? Who do they see when they're in our facility? What do they see on the walls? What kind of things do we have around our office? All right, so number one is they're going to be influenced by what they see. Number two, they're going to be influenced by our ability to encourage them on an emotional level, right? So as a parent, you're emotional about your children, and you also make smart decisions. So how are we going to be able to speak with them on an emotional level and let them know that, and really get them to realize that their kid is sick or their kid has some sort of something that we can help them with, right? And then the third thing is basically how, once we develop that trust, once we've encouraged them, are we going to be able to equip them with what they need to make a change in their life? What knowledge are we going to impart to them that's going to be able to take them and their families to the next level? So are we going to empower them, or are we going to break them down, for taking their kids to empty, or taking their kids for this, that, or the other, right? So really, we're going to kind of talk about two things. So we're going to talk about internal in the practice, in your practices, what we can do inside when we're there, and what we can do when we're outside. So building internal trust. Number one has to be integrity, right? Are we doing everything? Are we doing things that people would respect us for, right? Are we basically, do we have integrity in everything that we do? Do we have transparency in everything that we do? Do we have sincerity when we're asking about their kids, or are we being pushy about it, or are we being judgmental about it, right? I think that's a pretty thin line that some people can cross. Are we first nurturing to their health needs? Most of the time it's the parents that are coming in first, and then we get the kids under care. So are we asking them about their health? Do we share with them about how we're going to be able to help them with their health, and then gently, slowly kind of start talking about their kids as well without basically even showing them that we care about them first, right? Are we connecting with them? Are we making sure that we know their names? Are we making sure that we know their kids' names? Are we making sure we know how many kids they have? And then lastly, how are we addressing objections with them? So you guys, I mean, hopefully you've had people already ask you about their kids. Have you guys already had some objections about children under chiropractic care, right? What's a common objection that we get about kids? Oh, my kid's too young, right? My kid's too little. I don't want you to adjust them, right? So are you equipped to be able to answer that? You know, if somebody says, I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with that. You know, I just don't know because the traditional chiropractor, that gives me the willies. You know, well, actually, you know, that's a great question. We have special training, extra training in chiropractic pediatrics, and we see kids as young as a day old. I'd love to be able to see if we can help your child. Something as simple as that. You know, are you sincere? Are you nurturing? Are you not judgmental? But are you confident in what you're saying? You know, you don't have to start naming facts, and you don't have to start naming techniques, and you don't have to start telling them that you're Webster certified. You don't need to go into all that. It's just sincere, simple, concise answers to what these people really want to know. What other common objection do we get for kids? My kid's healthy? Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Have you ever had their nervous system checked before? No? Yeah. Well, actually, what I'd like to do is bless you with a complimentary evaluation for your child. We can come in and get your kid checked. Won't take about 15, 20 minutes. We can see if your child has any nerve interference, because research says it takes a long time for nerve interference to turn into symptoms, and I would hate for that to happen to your child. Yeah. So do you think you bring your child into your next appointment with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go. It's that simple, right? It's caring. It's easy, and it's fun. Majority of the time. Internal referrals. So, like I said, you have to be intentional. We all have to be intentional about everything that we do. So if we want to see kids, we want to see pregnant moms, from the moment they have first contact with us, they have to know that we see families, right? So, for example, our first phone call with a new practice member, one of the things that our team is trained to say is, great, is this going to be an appointment for you and how many members of your family, right? So even if you know that they're the only person making an appointment, at least you put that seed, in their brain. They're thinking, oh, well, they see families, right? And then from the first time they walk into your office, they see testimonials of kids on the walls. They see testimonials of pregnant moms. And then, let's see, one of the first procedures that we do that we're going to really, really, really delve into tomorrow, one of the first procedures that we do is we like to show people around our office so they feel more comfortable. So we give them an office tour, okay? It's not about 2 minutes into the tour when we show them our pediatric and family photo album. We have the biggest family photo album on our wall, okay? So we tell them we see kids of all ages for things like asthma, allergies, attention deficit disorder, autism, ear infections, even bedwetting. We're on a mission to make sure that the kids in our community are growing up healthily without the use of drugs or surgeries, the way that we think God intended, right? That's how we do it in our practice. That's how we do it, but right from the back, that's 2 minutes in to their tour. We're showing them that we care and that we can see their family, that we might be able to see their children. And then also right then we say, actually, I saw that you have 2 kids. If you'd like to make an appointment for them in the next 2 weeks, that would be complimentary because we want to see if we can help your family. Okay, so it can be really, really simple and really, really fun. One thing as well is you guys are going to have the much enjoyment of growing your team. So we've got some team members who love kids and babies and families almost to our annoyance because they'll carry kids around the office when they're supposed to be doing other things. But it's a true blessing to have team members who love kids, because they are able to connect with maybe the practice members in a way that you're not able to connect, because they're not a doctor, right? And they're able to remember those kids' names, so they're able to remember, they see people coming in and they see people going out, versus us just seeing them right in the back for their adjustments. So, but they ask about their kids constantly, they hold their kids, they play with their kids, they give their kids suckers and stickers, and love to play with them. So make sure when you hire a team that they love kids. It's really good. Now, when we're talking about externally, outside of the practice, really that's big for us, and I think that'll be big for all of us, just building these pediatric practices. Have you guys heard of the book called The Doctor Doctor? Are you the Doctor Doctor? Yeah. Yeah. So basically saying when you're inside the practice and you're outside the practice, are you walking the walk? Are you talking the talk? Right? When you're going to the grocery store, when you're going to church, when you're going to the gym, when you're going to take your kid to ballet, when you're going to take your kid to soccer, are you presenting yourself well? Are you respectable? Are you doing things that people look up to, or are you wearing, ratty clothes and late everywhere you go and you look frazzled? And I'm not saying that we have to be perfect, because trust me, we're definitely not perfect. Our child is 2.5. So discipline is a regular thing now, especially in the grocery store. But basically, people watch you. And if you do as much marketing as you should in the beginning before you open your practice, you're going to meet hopefully 9,000, hopefully 10,000 people before you open your doors in those 3 months. And guess what? If you do it right, when you're out and about, just in your own personal life, or you're running errands for the practice, or you're out screening, if you do it right, in my opinion, more people are going to know you when you're out than you're going to recognize yourself, right? We think about that all the time, is when we're wherever we're at, going out to dinner, probably more people recognize us than we recognize ourselves, because we meet so many people and they probably haven't, who knows, maybe we went door to door to their house. And so what that means is they're watching us, right? They're going to be watching you, and we come from a profession that requires for us to really step up our game. If we want to take care of these kids, we want to take care of pregnant moms, we have to step up our game and make sure that we're being respectful and respectable. External referrals to get these pregnant moms, to get these pediatric little kiddos in your office. Health talks. If you guys haven't started practicing your health talks, I highly encourage that. You know what though? The secret is a health talk can be as simple as just doing your day one. All right, and we're going to really delve into that tomorrow. Make sure that you're making relationships with the midwives and the doulas in the area. You can go into daycares, introduce yourself. My favorite and our latest referral is when I take my kid to ballet. There's one mom who I just haven't really pushed at all. I just kind of told her what we do, and she keeps asking me questions, and now they're starting to get their whole family into our practice. We do local screenings at Babies R Us. We're doing a birth conference next weekend. We make sure to ask people about their kids, and we make sure to sponsor sports teams. All the kids in our community know that if they come to me at the front desk and they ask me if I can buy something, I say yes. I buy pecans. I buy wrapping paper. I buy whatever they sell, because we want to support them. We want them to know that we love and care about them in every single way. If I could take 1 second and talk to all my female colleagues, right? That's almost half the profession now, right? Right? Women? Come on. I don't know about you guys, but I hated public speaking. I hated it. My face would turn red. I get super shaky. It is the worst thing in the world. I still don't really particularly like it. But I think that, we can come from behind in the profession, and we're gonna have to really step up our game as well. If we want to take care of these pregnant moms, if we want to take care of these babies, I recommend that we start really working on everything right now. Going to the clubs, practicing your doctor's report, practicing your day one in front of people. It can be pretty hard, but I think the world needs us, honestly. I really think that they do. So let me just show you a couple pictures about what it looks like in your practice to be able to see these this wonderful population. All of our kids, they love coming in because on their way out, they get an organic sucker and a sticker, okay? We do not provide a kids room, okay, because that would be total chaos, all right? I'm not good with chaos in my office. And so we provide a toy box, a little tiny toy box, and I highly recommend that. They're gonna have a little place that they can congregate, but if you do things right, they really shouldn't be in your office for more than 15 minutes anyway. If you wanna see pregnant moms, you gotta have evidence that you see pregnant moms, right? We gotta have the pregnant posters, the pregnant mom and baby wall. We gotta have, this is our poster where we post all the pregnant moms and where they are at in their pregnancies. We got pregnancy pillows, educational material, handouts, lead shield, so you can take x-rays on those who need it, so that they're totally protected from here down. We have to have evidence that we see kids. So testimonials, family wall, pamphlets, posters, kids in the waiting room, and that's our family wall. So we continually update that family wall so that as more families come into our facility, they start noticing all these other families that they see. It's pretty cool. Both parents always coming to the doctor's report. So always making sure that you got mom and dad on board. It's really hard for parents to make decisions without each other, right? And then there's our team member who drives us crazy with the kids. But she loves kids and she generates more referrals than anybody that I know. And lastly, just real quick, I want to touch on, this is the Arbuckle family. He came into our office because of a referral or a networking event. He came in because his wife had severe ocular migraines. They were 10 out of 10. She's a school teacher. Can you imagine having 10 out of 10 ocular migraines as a school teacher? Okay. She had ocular migraines, thyroid medications, menstrual disorders, neck pain, mid-back pain. This little girl right beside her, one of the two twins, that is Sarah. Okay. And Lisa curly hair. Sarah's this right here. Sarah was on ADHD medication, and she also had severe anxiety. That is Emily. She had headaches, actually. She had headaches, strep throat, and ear infections. That's Will. He had ear infections and strep throat, and that's Andy. He had allergies, knee pain, arm pain, numbness and tingling, neck pain, and mid-back pain. And ever since they started care with us, every single one of them has gotten off their medications. They're all completely pain-free. And Andy told us the other day that the best thing is that he feels like he has his kids back. How cool is that? All right, and that doesn't happen by accident. And that's really what I was just trying to get across today, is that we have to have a plan. We have to have systems. We have to have procedures, because it just doesn't happen without that intention. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that today. I'm sorry you didn't get to see my daughter.
What the heck? They only came for the women. The women came for the women. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with my voice. Dr. Claire, you did an awesome job. Yeah, I love it. I love it. What the hell? Broward. They don't care. They don't care. It doesn't matter how tight your jeans are. They're still doing it, Broward. All right, so I want to introduce a friend of mine. What the hell, bro? You gotta go do squats? What's up?
I like your jeans though.
You do like those, huh, bro? That doesn't just happen. Hey, are you coming back more?
Yeah. No, I got bored.
Get out, bro.
Yeah.
See you, man. Thanks for coming, bro. Have a great night. All right, guys. So I'm gonna bring up some of you guys are all gonna recognize Dr. David Huff. Dr. David is in his preceptorship. I call him Dr. David because he walks as a doctor in our practice. It's awesome. he reached out to us from a launch tour to look into precepting our office. And I'm still taking applications for the summer, end of the summer. Just kidding, Taylor's locked that one up pretty good. But we accepted him, but just to be completely transparent, I didn't have very high expectations. And the reason being had really nothing to do with David, because I didn't know David very well. But we've walked with a lot of students for a long time, all the way through school, and people that are hyper prepared, and have really not exceeded our expectations in their internship or their preceptorship. They can't keep up. They go home early. They show up late. They don't walk in total professionalism. It's just a lot of things that really let us down. And it's a lot more work to have a preceptor than it is reward. A lot of people think, oh, preceptor comes in, does all this work for you. No, it's like constant babysitting and answering questions all day long. Well, Dr. David, we gave him training documents. We gave him an accountability partner in the practice. He kept pursuing us, meaning accountability partner, meaning a staff member to meet with him, to train with him and go over certain things so he could come in and start getting reps rather than having to learn the ropes. Does that make sense? This guy came in so prepared. It just totally blew us all away. See, when you're a really good student, that does not translate into being a successful chiropractor, I assure you. And if you want to do a case study, let's do it. Because I assure you, you'll be wrong. Just being a good student does not mean that you'll be a great and successful chiropractor. He was obviously a very good student. And when he came out, he was 100% prepared. One thing that I've noticed about Dr. David that you can't teach people is to have a spirit of service. He anticipates and has awareness way before his time. So when he comes into our practice and he starts doing things, he sees the girls walking in, they're carrying things, he'll run out the front door and help carry those things. He sees my wife show up with the baby, he's like, Michael, I'm going to go out, you keep doing what you're doing, I'm going to go out and help her. He sees something on the floor and he's walking by, instead of just stepping past it, maybe it's just a piece of paper or whatever, he picks it up and he throws it away. He pushes the chairs in. Everything's done with total excellence with a real high sense of awareness. Those are things that are very difficult to teach. And I assure you that you're going to hear something great from him. He's going to share a few minutes with you guys of his experience in an office like ours. But I would tell you this, I would milk him for everything he knows. And he's only a month and a half into your experience, maybe at the most, about 5 weeks into his experience at ADIO, our practice in Golden. And I've been so blown away with Dr. David. It was a no-brainer for me to fly him out here so that he can come back and sew into you guys, because I think that you can really benefit from it. Dr. David, come on up, my friend.
Well, gosh, guys, that's so kind of him right there. My goodness. So, all right, guys. So I want to kind of start off with a little activity here. So I want you guys to be listening up for me and everything. So I want you guys to. I just want to kind of understand what's going on with y'all. So I want you guys to raise your hands for me which one agrees with you most. Okay. So who here believes that success is something that happens accidentally? It's by luck, right? Anyone agree with that? No. Okay. Good. So who here thinks that it's actually from preparation, hard work, and driving and taking advantage of opportunities that come your way, right? Come on, put it up, everyone up, woo! Okay, this is absolutely sure what happens as far as practice and everything. So I know you guys know how to work hard. 37 credit hours a trimester, holy moly, undergrad you had like 2 classes, right? What the heck, So, but through my experience here, like even though, all that hard work, it prepare you to pass boards and everything, it's not enough to be truly successful in practice and walk in excellence like these guys do right here. So personally, for myself, I knew that I wasn't ready and prepared to go through with those things right there. And I've been truly blessed to be with Dr. Michael and get to learn from these guys over here with everything that's going on and total excellence and clarity for everything that we're doing in the practice over there. So another activity for you guys. So I want you guys to raise your hand if you understand or know how to do this thing for me, okay? So who here knows that adjustments remove subluxations? Come on, guys, the hands go up. They do, I promise you, they do, right? So who here knows how to or is able to perform their own health talk or lecture? Who here knows how to go about and go business to business? Do those kind of things, right? These are things that you guys need to know how to do in order to be successful in practice right there, I promise you. I've seen it happen and it definitely works. It's really rewarding. So So as far as our experience over there, it's been just wonderful. Dr. Michael's so kind, like you said, he was blessing me, with that spirit of excellence right there, guys, right? And there's those lessons, that you can't learn. And so Dr. Michael was like, David, well, you have the spirit of excellence, as far as service and everything. I'm like, well, light bulb went off in my head, right? I was like, wait, there's things that you don't learn in school, right? And so I was like, oh, I wanted to ask him that, and I want to share that with you guys too as far as that. So I need you guys to take out those pens and write these down right here, okay? And docs, feel free to chime in if there's something else too as well that we should add in for there as well, okay? So that first one is being able to walk and serve people. The second one, guys, is being able to have energy all the time, right? Even when you're sick, when you're tired, you got to breathe life into people. You got to encourage them to work through the things they have going on. You guys got to have some thick skin, right? You guys got to get comfortable getting rejected, getting shot down. You guys have to be loving and love on your family, your spouse, your members of the community, your practice members, everything like that. You guys have to be sincere in everything that you do in your practice throughout there. So for me, I had a tough time, and I didn't, know all these things as far as getting into practice and how to go about doing them. Dr. Michael helped me out with that. And so one of my big successes was knowing how to go out and do it, and kind of have an engaging networking experience right there. So networking is a great way to go out and meet people. Do you guys have everyone been to a networking meeting? Do you guys know what you do at a networking meeting? So basically, it's like this. You have a crowd of other professionals, and you got to basically, educate them on what you do so they want to interact with you, and you guys have this connection with them right there. So with other folks in the office, just kind of my experience out there with them and everything, it was, some of them are really bad and sad. They'll come up there and it's depressing when they give you a little speech. So I was at this one event over there, and there were 2 other chiropractors there besides myself, room of 75 people over there. And I went in there with them over there, and they gave their speeches. I was right at the end over there. So I show up, I give my speech, knock it out of the park over there. I had people complimenting for my energy, coming by and just begging for cards, hunting me down. Who here wants to be able to do that, right? Absolutely, guys. That's something we all need to do, and you guys want to have that success. It's wonderful and very, very rewarding. So as far as being in the practice, I've had a wonderful time. I've learned how to go out and hit the streets, bring people into the practice over there. I've learned how to bring them in. I get to see them come in, get them in there, be able to go ahead and give them the education, explain them what chiropractic is so they can understand it. Guys, they want it. They want it so bad. It is ridiculous how much they want what we have to give to them. Getting to see to come in and getting to see them show up for care and get under care in our office. And then they get better, guys. They get better, absolutely. And it's so, so extremely rewarding seeing them come into our office and do that here. So I had a little video I wanted to run for you right here. It's going to talk about all about preparing for practice right here.
Talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. If you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate with people, with your artistry the way that you want. So the only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's 2 things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die. It's really that simple.
Very well said, guys. So in practice, you guys, you need to have that mindset, because if you're going to rely on talent, I assure you that will fail you. If you guys don't have that skill built up and that preparation in there, you guys are going to have a hard time with it. You got to be able to have that character that we talked about through those lessons that can't be learned, that you have to do on your own. You have to be able to be willing to die in that treadmill right there in order to succeed in practice right there. And these docs over here, they know it better than anyone else. I see it every day in the office over there. You guys need to ask them questions. You need to pick their brain. You need to keep taking those notes right there like you're doing, and just ask them every single thing you can. I just want to also say I'm very proud of you guys for coming here and taking that first step forward to success in your future, guys. That's a big deal. So go ahead and give yourself, guys, a big hand right here for me, okay?
All right, guys, I have the honor of introducing our next speaker, Dr. Eric Brower. So Dr. Brower's been in practice for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
4 years. I briefly knew him through school for, he came in and he got the privilege of being able to peek or extern or preceptor with Dr. Hess, and my husband and I were kind of like, who is this guy? That's not fair. We had to work our tails off in order to get into that opportunity. But he went into the Hess's office, and ever since then, ever since he started hanging out with Michael and the rest of the team, I mean, it's been the coolest thing. And I don't know about you guys, but it kind of is crazy to think that he used to not be well spoken, right? He had to work really, really hard at it. In my opinion, he's one of the most clear, concise, confident, and comfortable speakers in the entire profession. He can take anybody from where they are in their health to getting their entire family under care and probably through paying for the care, right? So, but his practice is over 1,000 visits a week in New York City, or just outside of New York City. We had the opportunity to go meet their new baby and see them over the Christmas holiday, and they're just having so much fun. And he and his wife, they're just the best people, and we just love hearing him speak, and we always get so much. So I hope you guys get as much as we do, but that's Dr. Eric.
Set the bar high for me, huh, guys? Better not mess up. All right, so hit your neighbor and say, I'm going to have an open mind right now. Go ahead, hit your neighbor. I'm going to have an open mind. All in unison, one more time. All right, so, I think if we all really break down, we did a test, actually, a couple of us. I did a test to kind of find out what's your why in life, like what drives you. We all have different whys, like maybe it's contributing to a greater cause. Or you're willing to sacrifice everything inside you to contribute to a greater cause. We all have some of that in us as well. And so my why, when I had my why tested, it was to find a better way. Like, I'm somebody that if I'm playing a card game, I'm gonna be obsessed with it until I find out how to get it just right, like how to get all the ins and outs of that game, or just how to figure things out. So when there's many different models in practice, like how are you gonna practice? People may say, well, I've been to a bunch of different offices, I like this style, I want to be a pediatric practitioner, or I want to see all athletes. You gotta think, just because you want to do those things, there's a lot of logistical things that go into that. And there's successful models, and then there's not so successful models. And that's really one of the beautiful things about all of us up here is we're open books. And so, if you come to our offices, you'll see very successful offices, but then you also see a team that's run well, and you'll see the ins and outs. So when it comes to running an office, I was thinking, I was scratching my head, how is it that I'm going to run this office? And there's many different plans. So our model that we recommend, right, how we run our offices, is a neurologically based care model. It means we focus on the brain and the nervous system. There's many different models out there. And I just say have an open mind because you may be saying all this while, some of your information or where you came from or if your parents were a chiropractor, this is how we're going to do it. I will tell you, when I broke all this down in my why and how, just in my inner being and how this can work and be the most effective in people's lives and make sense in my life and be transparent all the way, it's this model that did it for me, okay? I want to go ahead and explore some other models though too, because you don't know what you don't know unless we really explore all the different options. So let's go into the first slide here. So, I'm sorry. So when we're exploring this, I want you guys to write down these 5 questions too. So think about these things here. What is your most important asset? Right? And you can write these down. And I'd say even if you're about to graduate, I think it's important that you write these down and you really dwell on these things on a daily basis, right? What is your most important asset? Think about yourself, think about your family. And I think if you really broke it down, health would be up there with one of your most important assets, would it not? You think, well, it's my family, my friendships. Those are central to my life. It's my faith. It's my job. It's my finances. All those things should be central in your life, but if you don't have your health, you can't get the most out of all those other areas of your life. Am I right? Right? So we need our health. What is health and where does it come from? I guarantee if we sat here tonight, we'd be here all night long. If I just said, hey guys, let's go around the room and everybody starts shouting out healthy things for us. Somebody would say, these girls here would say eating broccoli. I don't like to eat it though. The girls right here, right? We just said that. And then there'd be people over here saying doing yoga, and there'd be people over here saying, well, it's running. No, it's not running, it's CrossFit. So we go back and forth with all these different, and I will tell you this, there's countless things that are healthy for our body, right? But health and healing only comes from within. What do you mean by that, doctor? Well, here's an example. I have my finger over here. You give myself a paper cut. I'm not a morbid person, but if you have a corpse's finger over here and you cut the corpse's finger, right? Who's going to heal, my finger or the corpse? Mine. Okay? We could try a lot of silly things to that corpse, and I'm, again, not being morbid, but we could stitch the corpse up. We could put iodine on that finger, right? The corpse's finger. We could put some broccoli or kale or do yoga with the corpse. We do all these different things. Would the corpse ever heal? No. What separates my finger from the corpse's finger? Life. There's life inside me. There's an intelligence inside me. We call it innate intelligence. It's the intelligence chiropractors work with. It's pretty powerful stuff, right? Where does the intelligence come from? Well, we know it comes from the brain, which sends signals down the spine, out these nerves, every organ, cell, and tissue in the body. That's how our body's healed. Nerve endings pick up, there's a cut in my finger, send signals to my brain back down, healing my finger just right. Okay? It's doing all these amazing things to your body. That's how our body's healing function. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Okay, so that's the answer number 2. How do we know if we are healthy? I know I thought I had this figured out for most of my life. That if you're in good shape, you work out all the time, you got muscles, you're low body fat, these different things, you eat good, you're probably pretty healthy. I'll tell you this, you cannot judge your health by how you feel. What are the top 2, you guys are all smart here, who knows the top 2 leading causes of death in this country? Cancer and heart disease, somebody said. When do you feel a sign or symptom of cancer or heart disease? When it's too late. How could those people ever judge your health by how they felt if they didn't feel it? So we judge our health by how we feel. I thought I was very healthy, but then when I would go to run, I would get out of breath really easily, despite the fact that I'd run all the time. Didn't make sense, right? My body wasn't functioning 100%. I had nerve interference in my spine, and I wasn't functioning 100%. So how do we judge your health? Well, in our offices, we judge your health by very specific technology. Okay, we don't judge it by how people feel. Because if you came in my office and you felt great, I could still have a finding on your spine that you may not have even known about. In fact, we only feel 10% of what's going on in our body right now, about 10%. So we can't judge your health by how we feel, okay? So wouldn't it make sense that we have somebody in our life, a healthcare provider, everybody, right? Wouldn't it make sense we have a healthcare provider that would not judge you by how you feel in a day, but by how your body's functioning? Would everybody agree that you should have that person in your life, right? Everybody should have that person in your life. We don't want to wait till it's too late, right? When do stresses start and when do they end? When do stresses in life start? Well, they probably start right from the birthing process. In fact, medical research shows 80% of births are traumatic to the baby's necks and 10% to babies' heads. Claire shared some studies. Why do we have a big heart for kids? 11% of kids are diagnosed with ADHD. Kids are sicker than ever before. It's the first generation that they're not going to have a longer lifespan than the generation before them. So our children, are they stressed? Are they stressed on their iPhones and Nintendo DSs all day long? Is that stressing their bodies? You bet it is. Is it stressing their bodies when they're a basketball player? I mean, could you imagine us doing 2-hour practices? Some of you could probably do that. 2-hour practices, falling all the time, or a soccer practice, or they're playing football or field hockey. There's tons of stresses that kids encounter on a daily basis. Stress over time causes those subluxations in the spine, right? When do they end? Does it end when your parents or your grandparents retire? No. They're going to be playing with the kids. They're going to be crocheting, maybe playing some golf. So we can agree that from the time we're born to the time we pass, there's going to be stress on our bodies and on our spine, right? We can all agree there. What is your health worth? What is it worth to you to be healthy? Well, there's billionaires that lose their health, and I guarantee they give their billions away in order to get it back. So our health is priceless. So pretty quickly right here, guys, let's just go through this. We said our health is our most important asset. We're right up there with one of them, right? It's central to all the things going on in our bodies. It comes from within. We need somebody in our lives, a chiropractor, to know that if there's a problem in our body, we need to detect it before we feel it in order to truly be healthy, because health isn't about how we feel. Stresses are with us from the time we're born, and for our family members and friends and everybody in this world, stresses are there from the time we're born to the time we die. and our health is priceless. That's why we're a neurologically based chiropractic office, because we want to provide people with these are things that people need. We all agree with these things, right? Is there anybody that didn't agree with any of those? We all agree. I think we forget that we're in chiropractic school sometimes. We think we're in CrossFit school, or we're in Shapley school, or nutrition school. Let's go through. Here's a model, a pain-based model. It's one of the most common models out there, right? This is how many chiropractors make their ends meet. They're dealing with people's pain. Chiropractic is actually really good with dealing with people's pain. We help people with pain on a regular basis. But health doesn't matter how you feel. So there's countless ways to mask a symptom. Countless ways, right? Countless ways we can mask. We could change the way we sit and mask a symptom. Adjusting to ease the pain. Maybe chiropractors are calling manipulation. Where's the pain? I'll adjust that area and I'll come back when you need it. Right? We hear that. Physical therapy modalities. You know, there's a whole profession that does modalities to help people with pain. They specialize in it. They go to school, actually, they're getting doctorates in it. They're learning ins and outs of how to do all those therapies. They actually really enjoy it, too. It's called a physical therapist. They're everywhere. Did you know that? That's amazing. And massage. Who in here loves massage?
Oh, yeah.
I sure do. Michael's giving me one tonight. My feet, I've been on my feet all day.
That was on video here.
So those are some ways that we could ease pain in people's bodies. What are flaws of this system? Let's break down the flaws. So what are some uplifting things? Well, we help people with pain. Pretty cool, right? That's a pretty good thing. It's insurance driven. It's insurance driven. What's wrong with that? Well, I know a lot of chiropractors in New York, they had to close up their offices because they were counting on Medicaid, Medicare, all these different workers' comp cases. See, workers' comp, you know, somebody gets injured on a job, and for a long time in New York, I don't know how long, I didn't really want to look into the history of it. They said if you were hurting the job and you got a doctor that said you could never work again or work at like maybe 20%, you could get chiropractic care for the rest of your life. The rest of your life. Chiropractors were banking off that. Now maybe it's a couple times a month or something like that, but they built practices upon that. Worked really well for them. It was pretty easy for them. They didn't have to market. People really didn't see any value in the care. They said it's free. I might as well go in. They didn't educate them. They didn't do anything with them. They just came in, got racked and cracked, come back the next week, right? They wake up the next day and that law is gone, passed. You got a lot of unhappy chiropractors. They're all like looking to go to different states now. It happens all the time. We cannot rely on insurance to pay for us and what our services are. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. I don't want to go down that road of doing all the different modalities and trying to figure out ways to get the insurance companies to pay for it just to get a little extra money. What's the least enjoyable thing in our practices, guys? That we don't have to do it much. Paperwork. Those little times we have to write reports. I abhor it. I can't stand this paperwork, right? And we don't even have to do that much paperwork in our practices. Longer visits. Well, if you're getting the massage and the vibrocussor and you're getting the creams and the biofreeze on your back, all these different things that mask the pain, you get manipulated a little bit, you get in the massage table. How long is that visit? You probably got to wait a little bit to get in there too. We're talking 30, 45-minute visits. You tell me, average American lifestyle that has a family, you think they have that amount of time? An hour at an office, not to mention the time getting there and getting back home after work. I know in New York State they don't. I know for sure they don't. Now, their kid may have a problem, their husband may have a problem. Do you think they have time to get the whole family through this whole model on a daily basis? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it's not a model that it's gonna pertain to a certain population of people, right? It's not the average American can do this on a regular basis, right? And it's limiting yourself and your clients. It's limiting. You're only dealing with pain. The nervous system is comprised of all the nerves that tell the heart to beat on perfect rhythm. Your stomach to excrete and digest acids. Your immune system works just right. All these different things. And we're going to talk about just pain. It's so limiting. People need more than that. People are sick in this country. We do health histories. I mean, we get a lot of people, new people in our office. You'll see pictures a little bit here. You would be surprised You know, you're gonna judge a book by its cover, and then you see this person come into your four walls, and they look so healthy. They work out, and then they're writing down anxiety, all these different symptoms they had, chronic headaches since I was 8 years old. You wouldn't believe what's out there. I mean, this is typically a healthy population that's in chiropractic school, but when you're in the community, it's a totally different ballgame. And it's mentally and physically draining this model. How are you doing today? Is it an 8 out of 10 today or 7? It's about a 7.5. Really? That's better. That's good. It's as boring as it be. And I can tell you, I know it for a fact because I did this for a little bit. And he saw me wearing the scrubs to prove it. I interned at one office, and you know, it's a pain-based model. Did everything, all the different modalities. 45 minutes in that practice felt like an eternity. Dealing with people's pain, you start talking to people about their pain, it's all they want to do is vent on you. Vent on you. If it's not about their pain, then they're coming in and venting on you about something else. It is draining. If you don't believe me, go hang out in an office that's pain-based. See how boring it is. I don't care if anybody in this room would agree with me. I don't care who you are. It is a boring, physically draining model dealing with people's pain on a regular basis. We want to uplift people, like Dr. David was saying. We want to bring life into those people. I don't want to talk to them about their problems. Because once you open Pandora's box, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse, right? It's a fact. Try it for yourself. Here's a wellness model, right? This, you know, this model, I probably like this one more than the pain-based model. But let's break this down a little bit. The wellness model. So really, the wellness-based model is focusing on things like the 3 T's. Who knows what the 3 T's are? Probably talk about a lot, thoughts, traumas, and toxins, right? They make you massage or muscle work. All good stuff, right? It's good stuff. The toxins, I mean, we don't want the thoughts, trauma. The 3 T's are bad stuff, and we want to educate people about those, right? I'm not saying these things are bad. Wellness models talk about things like vitamins, right? Multi-level marketing, perhaps. Different creams, arnica gels, and essential oils. Again, not bad stuff. Good night, guys. Right, not bad stuff. Maybe they really want to get out there. And these are offices that can really confuse some people, and they're doing chiropractic and acupuncture and detox, right? Again, that's their choice. Maybe even things like shoe inserts, right? Foot levelers. So those are things that can happen here. So what are some flaws? Here's the flaws. We're in chiropractic school, right? We broke down those 5 questions. Where does health come from? Who needs it? Comes from the nervous system. We all need it. It is priceless to have our health. We can unlock that potential in people. It is our gift as chiropractors to do those things. And yet we're doing all these other things in the office that are taking up more time. It's going to resonate with people better because people are going to understand vitamins and kale shakes better than they understand innate intelligence and a specific chiropractic adjustment. Am I right? Let's just be real. People, it's going to be easier for people to have a conversation with you about, hey doc, should I be taking the B12 or the B complex versus saying, you know, I think my L5 is misaligned and it's causing digestive issues, and you know, I haven't been going to the bathroom, right? So people get this model easier. So when they do this model, you're going to be confusing people, and you're going to be diminishing the adjustment. And when they get better with something, I don't care what it is, they used to maybe have headaches, they're going to say, it was because you told me to start drinking Kangen water, now my headaches are gone, right? That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, it was that needle that you stuck in my thumb, now I no longer have sciatica. It's just what's going to happen. We see it all the time, so you're diminishing the adjustment. Even if you're doing chiropractic, if you're doing these other things, you're diminishing it. You're making it less than. And that's okay if it's your true purpose, but don't do these things because you don't know how to do a successful model just with chiropractic care, right? And the other thing is this. For all of us, we're not sitting on our high horse saying we don't make recommendations. We do it all the time. This past week, I told someone to use, you know, the chronic sinus things going on. We've been adjusting her. She's getting much help. I said, maybe use some, you know, she said, what else can I do? What else can I do? I told her about lavender oil. You know, I do have information on other things we can give, but it's not something I talk about on a regular basis. We don't need to because people get well so darn much just for moving that interference, right? I do tell people to do stretches. It's very easy. I don't need to have a gym in my office to say, hey, sit on your butt and touch your toes. Do it 2 times a day for 10 seconds. It's not a hard thing. Thanks, Doc. See you next visit. A jack of all trades is master of none. We're gonna say, do the kale, eat the vegetables. Are we gonna go to Whole Foods? Are we gonna tell them which ones to pick? No, you don't want the ones with the pesticides, you want the ones that are organic. Don't cook it too much though, because if you cook it too much, you're gonna detract all the nutrients, and we're gonna do a cooking class how to make it taste good. You can't be all things to all people. But once you open Pandora's box, that's how it's gonna be. And so you have all this time where you could be seeing all these people, and instead you're talking about, the beet salad and the kales that you put on top of it. And you could have just adjusted 5 people in that whole time period. But you're talking about this one recipe, right? We can't be all things to all people. That's why in our office we have power partners. We have gyms we partner with. Hey, here's a great gym. They're small. This is going to fit your needs. It's actually a smaller boutique gym. They're going to take you from here to there. If there's somebody that they're already pretty fit, well, here's a Pass the Goals gym. Here's a doula group. I actually want to give you their name and their number. They're going to tell you step by step how to go about this process, so you know how the birth should go. And you're not just going to get put in a medical institution right from the start and just told that when you're going to give birth, you're not going to have any information. So we have power partners, nutritionists, and different shops in the area. They're specialists in that area. We're specialists in our area, and it works beautifully. And we get great results that way. Dr. Michael says this all the time. A confused consumer doesn't buy. Bless you. This is a confusing model. It's a confusing model because people don't really know what's going on. You go in and you get all these different things, and then there's like a rack over here with different supplements, and maybe those supplements are good, but how easy is it just to tell them, hey, there's a natural grocery store down the road. Go talk to the nutritionist there. Tell them you're looking for something called oil of oregano. Or you give them a sheet and say to go down there and do it. You could say, well, why don't you have that in your office? If it's in your office, it's taking up valuable space, first of all, and it's going to take up valuable time. Because then conversations are going to be started about all this stuff you have in your office. It's going to be confusing. Dr. Eric, why do you have Garden of Eden? I thought Shaklee was better. And then it started. Do you see what I'm saying? It just starts other dialogue where you could be talking about increasing your health through specific scientific chiropractic care. It's going to start other dialogue. It's going to waste your time when you could be seeing many, many other people. Here's something. So wasting time and space and just energy talking about things that we can help people in other different ways. That's in our power right now. The most powerful system in the body. Here's something I broke down. I was just thinking about this last night. That if you have a massage room in your office, a lot of people, massage is great. Massage is not a bad thing. There's massage shops everywhere, but they say, well, I can't pay my bills too well, so I have this room and it's empty. I might as well just put a table in there and get a massage therapist in, right? That's basically how it breaks down. So you have massage therapists come in. So massage therapist average, this is based on averages, it could change. $75 for an hour of massage, okay? The chiropractor gets 60% of that, about $45. Let's say they can work 6 hours a day. That's kind of pushing it, right? Because you got to think of the hours that you're open, your office is open. The chiropractor in this case is making about $270 a day on that, and that's a really high model. Now let's put it on our model. Let's just say average now. This is actually going low. $30 a visit for an adjustment. You could see probably in our office, if I had another room, we could see easily 75 people out of that room. So the massage room can make me about $270 and confuse people and think it's a pain-based model. And they're going to talk to you about the massage when they could be talking about innate intelligence. Whereas the adjusting room earned me $2,250. Do you see a big difference? We need to think about margins. We need these successful businesses. So the neurologically-based model is based on retention. It's based on retention. Pain-based model is limiting. When you don't have pain, you don't come in. Wellness-based model, you get people thinking they're so healthy because they're doing the kale shakes and doing exercises. It's diminishing the chiropractic adjustment so much, they turn their head, they say, I just adjust myself, I don't need to go in anymore. Right? Sorry if I'm being kind of rough here, but so it's a retention-based model because you're telling people, hey, we need this for the rest of our lives. It's a retention-based model. We can see families, I literally have seen, in our short time we've been open, I've seen kids that are like, we're this tall, now they're this tall, and they're playing different, it's amazing. It's amazing. We don't have to keep going out and look for more people that are in pain. People are coming in, they're getting healthy, they're staying healthy. It's an awesome thing. It's a simple message. Einstein said, make things simple as possible and no simpler, right? Make things as simple as possible. This is what we do. This is what we focus on. People come in, they talk to me about this. It's an awesome thing. It sets you apart from all the other chiropractors. The average chiropractor does those other models. This is different. You're setting yourself apart. You are a specialist in the nervous system. You get amazing results by removing that nerve interference, allowing the body to heal itself through your specific technique. People are going to be talking about you. They're going to be talking about you all over the community because you focus on that. Other healthcare professionals in the community are going to like you and want to refer to you because you're not doing something that they specialize in. It's a cool thing. It's affordable and convenient for whole families. We're going to talk about tomorrow where you should open your office, right? We're going to talk about what kind of hours you should be open. We want to be as affordable and convenient for whole families to have care. Taking advantage of their free time, right, in a convenient location. And it's very financially rewarding. If you took the numbers, or I'm not going to tell you what we do in a year or whatever, but if you take the numbers, right, $30 an adjustment, you times it by whatever Dr. Claire said I see a week, about 1,000, probably a little bit more or less, right, depending on the week. But you can do the math in your own head and see what we make in a week. It's very financially rewarding to do this, and we help a ton of people. Neurological-based care focuses on allowing the body to heal itself. Whew, what a relief. Because I don't want to be the healer. You don't want to be the healer. That's a lot of stress. Because when Dr. Michael says this too, if you take advantage and if you make claims of when you get them well, then you have to take the blame when you don't get them well. Right? There's a limitation to healing sometimes, and you don't want that burden on yourself. High volume practice based on high value. These are some of the systems we're going to go over tomorrow, and that's myself. This is actually this week. That was a pretty cool thing. This is actually our largest report. This is past Tuesday. That's why I got bags under my eyes. We had 19 units there, and we do 2 of these talks a week. We do 2 of these talks a week. This is our. You think a community is hungry for what we have to say? There was 2 nurse practitioners there, there was a lawyer there, and there was a physician's assistant there. This happened to be a very medical community at this talk. It was a really cool thing, and they all signed up for care. This type of model, it allows you to impact your community in large ways. When you're a successful business, you're going to attract other successful people in your community. You're going to partner with people, and you can give back in big ways. When you have a lot of people coming throughout your doors, you can leverage that to give. So right there, that's my wife. She was pregnant. She gave birth like 5 days after that, but she organized this. We fed over 300 families. And when I say we fed Thanksgiving meals, that's including the turkey. The turkey, 300 different families fed with all the fixings and everything. The upper right, you can see a talk. That talk was Wednesday night. That's why I have a lot of bags on my eyes. That talk was Wednesday night. We invite people to the community to come in and hear what we do. On the bottom left, that was last Friday. We gave over 30 bags, care bags, to seniors in need. And that talk was actually Sunday. I had a pretty busy week. But that talk was Sunday. We got an opportunity to go speak at this natural grocery store in our area. And we met a lot of great contacts. Incredible results with this model. Okay, this was a love wall that we had this past for Valentine's Day, and that only covers about, maybe half of the wall that was there. Those are all testimonies that filled up within 2 weeks of people just writing how amazing they're doing under care in our office. And it's incredibly fun. I think that's the picture that you want, right? The video. But that's our son Lincoln. He's checking his nanny, he's doing his thing. Child labor laws are silly and outdated. And that is our team over there. It's an awesome team. That is actually a student intern. That's Rudolph on the bottom there. He's an awesome guy from Palmer. So it's a ton of fun. It's very rewarding. And I'm going to leave you with this. Write this down. Your commitment plus your mechanism equals your results. What are you committed to? Plus how are you doing it? How are you learning to do it? Equals your result. Here's the truth. The results are always fair. So if you get out of school, I don't want to hear you say, well, I don't have any money to open my practice. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. The results are fair. If you don't have money now, start looking at ways to get money. That's something we talk about with our organization and what we do with Launch. And we teach you the mechanism to do this and implement it in your practices and serve a ton of people. Thank you very much. All right, so the next speaker, I think if you ask myself or the stewards in the back, you know, one of the top people you're so thankful they came into your life, we would definitely say it was Dr. Michael. Would we not? We would say we were so thankful he came in our life. He definitely changed my life. He's the one that led me to this model and how we do it. He's in my personal accountability group, and we hold each other accountable to things that we do. He was the best man in my wedding, but only because he kept bugging me to be so. His biggest thing that he's known for, some of you may have known this about Dr. Michael, is he's the fastest growing chiropractor in the history of the profession. Okay, the most successful out of the gate in the history of the profession. Within their first year, how do we know this? Well, within his first year, he saw within just under 1,500 people. 1,500 people in his first year open. I wouldn't wish that upon any of you. You want to talk about hard work, I probably couldn't have done it myself. He may have a little bit of Ebola right now. I want to give it up for Dr. Michael.
So it's best that I go last, because if I'm going to breathe on this thing, I don't know if I got the HIV, I don't know where I would have gotten it. But something happened. I was in San Francisco. The rest is history. Sucked. Is that working? Can you guys hear me, or did I just shut it off? Can you guys hear me? Did I just shut it off? Oh, I did. There's a power button right there. There you go. So you may say, why is this guy wearing a jacket? Because I'm freaking cold. But I'm all in. My flight got delayed. I was supposed to be here at like 1 o'clock. My flight kept getting delayed. I'm calling Brown. I'm like, hey, bro, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I think it's canceled. This is freaking canceled the flight. I was like, well, I just want to go home and get in bed. But I was really excited to come, so found another way to get here. We got here. I apologize that I kind of sound like I'm going to die. If I do die, just make sure that my clothes and my stuff get back to Tara. we love coming out here. So I'm like over there chugging juices and all kinds of stuff, trying to get the body to heal from the outside in. But I'm grateful to be here. You know, I love coming to Logan. There's just great people here, and so we really, really enjoy it. So I'm very grateful for your support and for your diligence. I was going to read something to you. Did I leave my phone over there? I was going to read something to you. Where the hell did that go? I never let that thing out of my sight. Uh-oh. Everybody stop what you're doing. Damn. I lost my phone. I stopped. Holy cow. I was like, man, I thought I really was going to die. I was going to read something to you. This is classic. I may cuss a little bit. I may not. I'll probably cuss. This was written by a girl at Life University that we went to school with. And mind you, we've all graduated like around the same time. So that's what this girl wrote on what's called Life Alumni Support Group page. There's a bunch of retards leading retards. I'm sorry, or idiots. If that wasn't politically correct, I'm sorry. It's just a bunch of blind people leading blind people. It's crazy. Talking about how they could introduce a fee to charge people when they miss appointments because they're not making any money and these people don't take their care seriously. And it's just like silly stuff like this all the time. This is what these people are asking questions for. This girl writes, am I crazy to feel that before anyone starts chiropractic college, they need to meet with a counselor and crunch the numbers? Kind of like someone choosing a sex change. Are you absolutely sure you know what you're getting yourself into? What the hell? Kind of like a sex change. Are you absolutely sure you know what you're getting yourself into? That's what this girl writes. And there's like 400 comments afterwards. Of people like, yeah, you know, you never pay your bills. You never be able to pay off your student loans. The only reason we haven't paid off our student loans is because we opened like 3 or 4 more businesses. So we're taking our money and making money off our money, right? A couple years into practice, we own 3 businesses, right? So we want to see our money make money so that we can sow into the things that matter in our lives, right? I want you guys to understand something very, very simple. chiropractic, you can hear people speak and speak and speak. Chiropractic, people will start to buy into the idea that chiropractic is like a mission, right? And if you want to go on missions, that's totally different. But if you're gonna write your name on a lease for a brick and mortar space, you need to be able to deliver the goods. End of the story. Right on? If you're gonna write your name, if you're gonna go all in, I have people that they get their family members to co-sign on leases and whatever. It's like, bro, you better be able to deliver, because they are gonna knock on your door if you are not upholding your end of the deal. When I hear people that are charging very little for care, or they're sharing space with other medical professionals because they want to lower overhead, we didn't have to do that. We weren't even interested in doing that. We need more space for what we do, right? When I hear about people talking about doing talks and going on, they're like, oh, what do you do these nutrition talks? And I'm a dietitian. I have a master's in holistic nutrition. I don't care to talk about nutrition. Do you believe, and answer this question honestly, do you believe that the marketplace, meaning the community, the people, society, are unaware that it's good to eat healthy? Do you think they're unaware that it's important that you exercise? That you burn more than you take in? That you should eat more vegetables and French fries? Do you think that they're ignorant to that? Answer me. No, they're not. Do you think there's a chance that they could be ignorant to the fact that neurological interference will reduce your expression of life and that your body will not perform to its fullest capabilities? If so, do you think they're ignorant to that? Yeah. And that you may have an answer to that through specific scientific chiropractic care? Getting to the root cause of their health condition and correcting at the source so that the body can heal, recover, and perform the way that it's intended to from the birth to the grave? Do you believe that they could be ignorant to that? Answer.
Yes.
Yes. So why would we waste our time trying to provide information or resources about other things that we're not even fully experts in, when we could be talking to the community about chiropractic? There's this great joke that says, where's Broward? There's this joke. It's not. It says an atheist, a CrossFitter, and a vegan walk into a bar. And I only know this because they told everyone within 2 minutes. I thought that was a funny joke. But I think you should be able to put chiropractor on there, right? A chiropractor, a CrossFitter, and a vegan walk into a bar. Everyone only knew because they told everyone in 2 minutes. I think we should be able to be proud of what we are and be able to communicate that to the public and tell them what you do and how you do it and why it's such a wonderful thing. You have this great ability to provide a wonderful service to humanity, right? But at the end of the day, it all starts in this room. It all starts, like the moment you got into school, guys, the clock started ticking on your time to be able to perform. Has nothing to do with your degree, I assure you. I freaking assure you. I went to school with all the loudmouths. I went to school with all the cats that were like, man, they're going to be the most successful. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. I mean, we could go back in that corner of the room and talk about every single person we thought would have been an uber success. I had some guy say something, this was classic, on that life page. So because those guys are so stupid on there, I graduated with them. I mean, these guys are, it's literally like, so I post a testimonial of me adjusting a child. It came from a referral of somebody that's very congruent in Tennessee, referred somebody out to us, got him under care. But you know what I loved about this? Because he's referred a couple people to me. Every single time he refers, I love the guy. Great heart, doesn't understand business. Every time somebody comes out to me, they're like, oh, he didn't charge me for care. I said, okay, not a problem. I'm not him. I'm not him. Because we have a great value for what we do. Damn right we're going to charge him, right? So here's the sad part. This is a part of this whole story. So I get them under care. They say, do I have to come to that orientation thing? I was like, no, we don't do an orientation thing. We do a doctor's report. It's the most important appointment that you'll have in this office. It's where we go over health and healing from A to Z with you, discussing our findings, our recommendations for care after fully analyzing your full assessment. We'll answer any questions you may have, go over financials about how we can make care affordable and convenient for you. And after we've answered all your questions, we're going to get you adjusted. Okay? So go over that with them. So they come to that. Well, that sounds great. They paid in full for their entire family under care, thousands and thousands of dollars. Why? Because we create value. And I'm not afraid to ask for money. That's going to be the biggest thing that we'll have to get over as students, is asking for money. Because even though you guys all look great, and you all have brand new clothes, and you all look wonderful, and Starbucks and whatnot, and pizza, you're gonna have a hard time asking people for money. Because you're gonna be coming from that poverty mindset, right? Where asking somebody for 20 bucks could be a lot to you, right? But you have to get over that. You have to get over that. And that happens before you graduate. So I posted a picture of this baby getting adjusted from that family that transferred to us. And they kind of got mad in there because I was like being too joyful. They got mad. Started this huge debate. They're going back and forth. Brower, you jumped in on it, didn't you? Then you left the group. You're like so busy, left the group. The guy that runs it asked me, he goes, hey, if you're pissed off about our bylaws in this, why don't you leave the group? I said, hell no, I'm not leaving this group. Why? Because I know it pisses you off, and everybody in this group follows me. So he said, everyone wants to hear from it. So I said, it's encouraging them about chiropractic. I'm not leaving the group. You leave the group. He goes, I started the group. I go, leave. It's very simple to me. This thing's mine now. No, I'm thinking to myself, no, leave the group. And he goes, why should I leave the group? I go, well, you're on your third practice, and your most recent post asked, what do I have to do when I close the practice so I can't be sued for abandonment? That was his most recent post. Bro, leave. Do us a favor and get out of chiropractic. I don't want to be associated with you. We have this great idea, and we've talked about it. We need to start executing it. Then one of the best things that I think we could do as chiropractors to become as successful as possible, start buying all the crap bag chiropractors. I can't cuss because there's a front row of kids here, so I'm going to kind of drop some innuendos. It's really kind of screwed me up, but I really know how to talk right now. Like cripple. Really? Touche, touche. So what if we start buying their practices, retraining their practice members, converting them to neurologically based chiropractic corrective care through specific scientific chiropractic, giving them an exit strategy to get out of our practice, our profession. That's how you weed out the crap in chiropractic. Because, dude, it's a mixed bag out there. I'm telling you, wait until you see what it's like out there. Wait till you see what other chiropractors will say to you. Wait until you see what people will say about you in the community. When all you're doing is serving out of the abundance of your heart. All you're doing is trying to love and uplift people. I mean, I'll tell you what you do. You go to my Yelp account. Dr. David knows this. We've been trying to come against this. I have like 49 Yelp reviews. Like 42 or 43 of them are 5 out of 5 stars. The rest are all negative. One guy said that I left his wife crying on my table for hours. There hasn't been one human being in my practice, except for myself and my team, that's been there for hours. Nobody. If she was laying on my table for hours, at least 50 people would have laid nuts to butts against her. They would have gotten up on the table and laid right on top of her and got adjusted and crawled off and walked out the front door. That's how efficient we are. So I was like, how did that? I walked that woman out the door. She tried 9 chiropractors in 3 months. I got tried in that scenario, and it didn't work, so she moved on. And all I did at the front door was say this, and I'm glad I said it. I said, listen, whether you choose us or choose somebody else, I don't care. What I care is that you pick something and see it all the way to the finish line. Follow the recommendations, get well and stay well. Because I don't want you to lose hope in your life that you can't be healthy. And I assure you, you can. So if it's not here and you need a recommendation or a referral somewhere else, I'd love to provide that for you. She hugged me at the front door at my desk, and I walked her out the front door and said goodbye because she's discontinued care. He went on Yelp, wrote this ugly review and this whole deal. I said, man, I really felt like I loved that woman. I really did. Wait till you see how thankless the environment can be. So why I say that is not to fear you, is to say this. Learn to get rejected in school. Most of you guys haven't failed at anything. I told you I failed a lot in school. I really did. It's the only place that I really ever failed in my life. But I made a decision that my failures were going to exist there and I was going to redeem myself in practice. So when we hit those massive numbers and we put 174 new practice members on the books our first week, it was because I needed to make up time. That's not for everybody. That's not for everybody. But I'll tell you what, you put half that on the books your first week, boy, you are moving in a good direction. You're making some great momentum. Great momentum. And we didn't want to be average. Who here wants to be average? Raise your hand. Nobody does. How many, let me ask this question. Who here sleeps like, let's say 8 to 9 hours a night? Raise your hand. Don't lie to me. I know you're in here. Okay, you're freaking average. So listen, we believe I'm working very, very hard to turn a dream into a reality. Turn a dream into reality. You look good over there, bro. There's a lot of little cute beards in here. You guys look sweet. Yes. Step your game up. Am I right, man? You gotta step it up. Both you guys. You guys look good. Look good. I'm high volume at a couple things. One's growing beards. So when we set out to create this vision of what we had in our marketplace, we wanted to turn a dream into a reality. And to do that, guys, it takes a lot of diligence, a lot of discipline, and a lot of hard work. Why somebody like Dr. Eric, Dr. Sam, and Dr. Claire, why they can do what they do is that they're extremely disciplined. Even if they don't think they are, they're far more disciplined than the average person. I was teasing at a recent conference we hosted in Atlanta that I love this quote. They call us dreamers, but we're the ones that never sleep. That's 10% sleep, 90% grind. We work hard. I didn't feel well this morning, guys. I didn't feel well all week. We got back from San Francisco. I got Ebola, whatever it was. And I don't typically get sick very often, but I mean, it was just like, man, I didn't feel that great. Kind of a rough week, a lot of snow and everything. I was up till about, I was on the tractor last night for like 3 hours plowing our driveway while it was still snowing. And I'm like, every time I turn back around, I was like, there's more snow. And it just sucks just to know that I had to get up early, get on a flight to come here. And I love it. Why? Because we're trying to turn dreams into realities. Not just for us, but for you guys. So let me explain something to you, and then I'll get into this PowerPoint. Is that you guys don't have to be successful for you. You have to be successful for us. Okay? For the person beside you. Because I'm telling you what, if we're going to create critical mass in the marketplace, and that's our goal, create critical mass, a bunch of highly successful practitioners coming out of school all over this country, just representing chiropractic in a proper way. Whether you're an associate, independent contractor, or individual practitioner, or if you buy a franchise, whatever it is, you still have to deliver the goods. All right? Doesn't matter if you're on a team or if you are on an individual sport, like wrestling versus hockey. If you suck, it's going to be exposed. It doesn't matter. You'll be exposed one-on-one with somebody, sweating in the little onesies that they wear and stuff, rolling around, all sweaty dudes. Not my thing. Never been, never will be. Or if you're an extremely manly, like very brave, butch sport like hockey where you can fight and you don't get in trouble. Either way, if you suck, it's going to be exposed. It's the same way in practice. So you guys need to make sure that you're ready to rock and roll when you get out. Okay? Because I'm telling you, the clock is ticking. And some of you are going to get the degree and you're pleased with getting straight A's, or that you're going to pass boards and whatever. It's all very important. It's required of you, but that does not ensure your success in this field. Like a sex change. I'd like to give that girl a sex change. Talk about sleep. Average American gets 9 hours of sleep. Let them sleep while you grind. Let them party while you work. The difference will show. This is very, very important to me. We used to utilize our breaks to go visit offices, like many Logan students have so far. We didn't use breaks to go to Florida or to go to Arizona or to go anywhere. I see so many chiropractors traveling, chiropractic students traveling all the time, doing things that I'm like, shoot, I'd like to do that. You know what I mean? We have the money to do it now. I see them doing all these things. This is not vacation. This is grad school. There's no more spring breaks. It's stupid. You're adults. You're getting a graduate degree. You're going to be a healthcare provider. Let me ask you this. With your level of preparation, as it sits right now, do you think if you had to walk out the door tomorrow, if they said, I'll give you a degree today, you walk out tomorrow, do you think that you're trustworthy to analyze and adjust an infant or a pregnant mom? Do you think that you're there yet? Do you think you have the ability to create the value so that they will trust you with those people? Do you think that you really have the communication skill? Because I'm telling you, most students will say yes, and then you get out, and you find out that nobody cares what you have to say. They don't care. They don't care. When they talk about chiropractic island, it is a real freaking thing. It's a real thing. I'll tell you this, you'll come out and you'll be like, oh, I love chiropractic. Talk about freaking sympathetic, E-fair, and A-fair, all this crap, dorsal root ganglion, things. I'm all like, you want to talk about that stuff, and they're looking at you. I mean, this guy's creepy. Right? If I could share something to the dudes in here, Claire talk to the women, I'll share this with the dudes. Uncreep yourself. Learn how to touch and talk to women in an appropriate way. That you're trustworthy, you're not a perv, you have proper bedside manner. I was talking about this at Life West. I am very, very appropriate in our adjusting rooms. I may talk about farts, And I may say, you know, stupid things in there. I do. I like to be me. I'm just the same way I'm right here. I am the same way in my adjusting rooms, I assure you. I make fun of people. I make fun of myself. I wear tight pants. I do a lot of stuff. But let me tell you this. When we're in those adjusting rooms, I mean, when that woman, because all of our practice members start prone on the table, that's face down for some of your early quarter students who tries. So face down. So when they're getting on the table, and this woman's about to get on this table, right, and she's climbing up on the table, and she's like this. Well, when she goes on all fours, she's going to be bent over. So if that was my wife, would I want the doc to be standing back here like this? No, I wouldn't. How the hell does this happen every time? This happened in, do I even need this thing? This happened in thanks buddy. He's just like this in the office. I freaking love it. It is, he's aware. He's ready to serve and help. This happened at Life East though as well. I shut my whole presentation down. I had to wing it, which I never end up following the presentation anyway, as you can see. Then you don't stand here. You stand beside them. You don't stand in front because when she gets on the table and she has a low-cut shirt and she's getting on the table, that's creepy too. So as a dude that walks in integrity and respect, and I treat everyone like I want my sister, my wife, my mother treated in a practice. I stand beside that woman, I have my back on her, and I said, go ahead and lie down, just walk her right to it, right beside her, because I'm not looking at her booty, I'm not looking at her boobies, okay? Neither. I'll walk her down to that table. I keep a hand on her at all times so she knows where I am around that table, okay? So I'm not creeping around there and they're wondering, where's Dr. Michael? Okay? And if she's in a skirt or anything, I offer something to cover up with, like a gown. And if she's gonna get, most women are like, there's nothing that you're gonna see that I haven't seen before. That's what they typically say to me. And so when they're getting off the table, I get their face paper and I intentionally turn the opposite way, throw it away so my back is to them while they're getting off the table. I make it very deliberate so they see that I'm doing that for them. So I set that practice member's mind at ease. Because I'm telling you this, I want to be trusted with a lot of people. And in practice, guys, men, specifically women, will get away with a lot more. I remember Sam Stewart at Dr. Hess's office when we were interns. Do you remember when you measured the girl across her boobies? Do you remember that? He goes, what do they teach you? You take the calipers and you go up here to here. He's like right across the nipple line. I was like, don't do that! It was awesome, so real. Big black woman. It was so awesome. I'll never forget it. So my point is, what was my point? My point is that when you're communicating with people, most people think because we can talk here, we can have fun and we're good times. You need to learn how to be dynamic, trustworthy, and uncreeped in the marketplace. Okay? I had a guy that came out to see. Brown, we talked about this. You got these interns that come out, and the person's laying on the table face down. And you got this big intern stand just like this. And then when you tap on her foot, you say, look right, look left, and then she looks left right into this dude's crotch. And I'm doing, get out of here. You know, get in the back room. Get your crotch away from that lady's face. Because that's some things that you don't realize when you're in school. You know what I mean? That there's ways of interacting that allow people to feel comfortable in your presence and want to refer. We have people that come in the room and they think that everyone wants to hear what they have to say. And guys come in, they have their shirt unbuttoned down here like they're going to the club. Like it's gonna, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, start getting crunk in here, bro. It's a chiropractic office. And so when you guys are in school, you think everybody just wants to love on you when you come out. It's not like that. It's not like that. You want to get the bumps and bruises while you're in school. So when you come out of school, guys, you just transition into practice rather than get smoked and you end up getting knocked to a knee and maybe not getting back up. Let's get to this PowerPoint. Having a sense of urgency is what will separate you from the 90% of people who read books, attend seminars, focus on only adjusting, but never see results. This is very, very important. Most students will ask questions about things way beyond your pay rate. You'll ask questions like, what do you do in Medicare? You know what I mean? Or what do you do when someone has a difficult case, you got to refer? Don't think that every single person that comes into your presence, you have to shove them right out the door to a referral. That's what school does to us at times. There are appropriate times to refer. But they're in your practice because they probably align with your philosophies. They probably believe in what you believe. And they want what you have. You just need to lead them there. Okay? But oftentimes we'll fumble around because we don't have a clear, concise, trained message. And listen, certain people are like scared of like scripts and stuff like that. Every major corporation, Fortune 500 companies, they all have scripts. Why? Because it's measurable. So you can teach a team member and you understand what they're saying so you can track their progress. And you know that the message from the front of the office to the back of the office, east, west, every direction is covered in the same way, but done dynamically. Most people think a script, you just da, 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 da. It's not true. You train, you own, you move forward. Most people want to just focus on adjusting. You guys come out with phenomenal hands, phenomenal diagnosticians with no butts in the seats to do anything to. The most important thing you could probably focus on right now is learning how to connect with people, create value, and see them funnel into your practice. So that you can exercise the wonderful things that you guys have trained so diligently on. People talk all the time about potential. I get so sick and tired of hearing about people's potential. I'd rather see your productivity. I'd rather see your productivity. Measure your success on production. Don't measure on what you could possibly do or what you could possibly accomplish. Does that make sense? I'm telling you this, being a procrastinator is a robber of potential. The more and more you put off, guys, will have a direct association reflection of your success out of the gate. The longer you take to train, the longer you take to learn, the longer you take to get out in the marketplace and meet and greet people and run for community chiropractor where you're hugging folks and kissing babies. That's what it is. That's what it is. People don't just walk in your door because they're like, chiropractor, let me get my infant checked. Makes sense. Yeah, that sounds great. No. Because most chiropractors you walk into is wearing a Hawaiian shirt, socks and sandals, freaking stonewashed jeans, and they're probably adjusting with an earpiece in, with like floral wallpaper, and a little sliding glass window with freaking yellow folders in the back. Or, you're right, isn't that what it looks like in most chiropractic offices? Not ours, not Browers, not the Stewarts. We set out to do things differently and represent ourselves in chiropractic in an excellent fashion. Don't be a procrastinator. Uh-oh, what happened here? Oh, that's such a, you guys screwed that one out. Did you do that, Mark? Did you do that, Custis? It says never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. You tried to rob me of saying that. Never half but one thing, whole but. Never mind. You guys are screwing me out. That's the lobby of our practice. When my wife and I set out to design this facility, and we built it from the ground up, exposed rafters, reclaimed barnwood metals, concrete floors, the whole nine, three-sided glass. It's an end unit, 18-foot ceilings, 3 evaluation rooms, 3 adjusting rooms, X-ray facility on site, personal offices, the whole nine, baby room for our baby, for to get have the nanny there with the baby. We wanted to represent something that gave us power. We want to create something that gave us a home court advantage. So when people walk into this place, they say, holy cow, this is totally different than what I ever expected or what I've experienced in the past. But it's all wrapped around the principle of chiropractic. You don't see any pictures in this place that are like landscapes or mountains. I got windows to see the mountains. The mountains are literally like right out the window in Colorado. They're everywhere. People don't need to come in my building to see mountains. They need to come in my building to hear about chiropractic, hear about pregnancy, hear about infants, hear about vertigo, hear about dizziness, hear about menstrual cycle issues, hear about infertility, hear about real life stories and how that could potentially not only impact their life, but sow the seeds of who else we could help. Does that make sense? You're starting to stimulate referrals. We whole ass this thing. Is that really a term? Write that down. We whole ass this. This is something that I could encourage you guys to do as students right now. To hang around people that pour water on the fires of our fears and throw gasoline on the passions of our dreams. One of the best things that you can do for yourself while you're in school, guys, because I do want to give you guys some action steps. Tomorrow morning's all freaking action steps. So don't miss tomorrow morning. If there's less people in here tomorrow morning, shame on you guys, because that's when we get into the nitty-gritty. That's when we get some real good questions out of your head and answers in. So when you guys start getting some clarity and some action steps and how to order your steps. One of the best services you can do for yourself while you're in school is to start getting rid of the crappy friends, stop sharing your dreams with the naysayers, and start getting a network around you that's going to build you up, support you, so you guys are moving in a congruent direction together. Dream big, start small, act now. February 27th.
If you haven't started, some of you think you're starting because you're going to some pediatric seminars, think because you go to adjusting, because you study. Oh, go right ahead. See ya. Sorry I offended you. See you, Steph. Have a good one. Some of you guys think that you're doing things that are going to really sow into your future. I assure you that getting into some practices that you're 100% congruent with, defining your vision, all right, defining your vision and what you want to do in chiropractic and with your facility. Get over the fears and start moving towards those dreams. That's the best thing that you can do right now in school. I love this. It's better be full of whiskey than full of. With chiropractic, there's a lot of people. With chiropractic, this is how I see myself. Sam sees the lion. This is what I see. But I was thinking earlier, I was drinking some green tea. I was like, man, if this was whiskey, I bet it really zap my issues right now. I don't like whiskey. I was just teasing. But there's a lot of people that are going to promise you guys a lot of things. I was mentored by a man that never let us walk into the four walls of his practice. I was mentored by him for many, many years. I was never allowed to see his office. Still a great guy, right? But I was never allowed to see his office. I was never allowed to step into his life and really find out what is real and what is not real. I invite you to walk into my practice. You can announce yourself, which would be better, or you can just roll in there. Look through the drawers, look through the books, look through the bank accounts, look through whatever you want. Most people already have. You can look in every single room. You can hang out with us before the shift, after the shift, and you'll see we're 100% congruent from start to finish. I want you guys to see what's really, truly achievable out there. We have so much joy in our practice. We have so much fun. Most people think, when you guys all came out, remember when you guys came out and you're like, you know what to expect. A lot of people, all this sort of stuff. It's just fun. We have fun all the time. It's a wonderful place to be. It's a wonderful place to be. You have to see it for yourself. So get to the Stewart's office, get to Brower's office, get to the Qualky's office, which is in Michigan. Almost 50% pediatrics. They just built a 2,700 square foot office just the other day. Just finished it, just getting open in it. I mean, you're talking like, we just have a network of like 24 young facilities, all within like 3 or 4 years from opening, being in these seats, doing great things. So you guys can get that vision in your head rather than being told that you can't do it, or that there's a starvation period, or there's lack, or there's neglect in practice, that you're going to struggle. We're going to go over some real statistics. Dr. Eric and I are in a mastermind. Who knows Patrick Gentempo? There's no Patrick Gentempo. You should if you don't. He's a great, great chiropractor. Done a lot of great things with chiropractic. We're in a perfect personal mastermind with him. We'll be there in New York City next weekend with him. And he's got some phenomenal statistics of what's going on in our profession. We want to provide you guys with resources and tools so that you don't become that statistic, right? Just like healthcare, there's statistics that if people don't take action, they'll become one of those statistics versus one of the actually, in my mind, like one of the more progressive people in our community, where they're not only eating well and exercising, but they're under neurologically based chiropractic corrective care on a regular basis. This is for you guys want to stay connected because we're always posting stuff. There's two Michael Viscarelli's on Facebook on both of them, but one is with a DC, and that's the one I post on. So you got to like that page. Don't go and friend me on the other one because I don't accept them, because it's an administrative page. You can follow me on Instagram, because we're always providing things on Facebook, on Instagram, of encouraging things in chiropractic. Not just statistics and stuff, but seeing us adjust people, seeing infants getting adjusted, hearing testimonials, watching people actually get well. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But at the end of the day, everything that I stand for in chiropractic is about critical mass. I always express this as I close. I always express to people that I love my community. I do very much. I love, love, love the Golden community. Okay, it's still a cowboy community. It's like still very Western. It's great. I have dreams of riding a horse to practice one day. I think it'd be a wonderful thing. Maybe more people should be doing it. But I want to say this: I care more about our profession. I care more about being in these rooms than in the streets of my community. When we started out in practice, like the Stewarts and like the Browers and the Qualkies and the Hess, all these people just started rushing to us and say, "How are you doing what you're doing?" And they want to hear. They want to, dude, can we really do that? And then we see more and more facilities doing it across the country. I care more about these conversations, or I would not be. I mean, my son's flown 14 round trips in 6 months. Kids on the road as much as most CEOs. I mean, Brower, how many times has Lincoln been on a plane? I mean, dozens and dozens of times in 18 months. to be away from my wife and my child on a regular basis. It's because we love chiropractic. We love it. There's great potential for us in chiropractic. But I'll tell you this, if you want to blend in, do all those modalities that Dr. Brower was talking about. Do all the wellness. Blend into every other chiropractor in your community. If you want to corner the marketplace and be totally separate and distinct and revolutionary, do chiropractic. I assure you, you will set yourself apart. Because the moment you start to do all these other things, everybody is providing those services. I assure you. I assure you. And there's nothing that distinguishes you. But when we do chiropractic and we communicate it dynamically and we run after it and we're very passionate about where we run in the room and we tell everyone that we're chiropractors instead of talking about CrossFit, instead of talking about, gluten-free and being a vegan or whatever, fill in the blank. When we talk about chiropractic and the language in our practice represents chiropractic from start to finish, people are drawn to that. And they really are. It's like fish in a barrel because they need it. They need it. There's not one person that couldn't benefit from being under chiropractic care. Symptomatic or asymptomatic, does not matter. But can you stand in the gap and communicate that to them and say, look, I know that your evaluation shows perfectly clear. I know that you don't have any symptoms, but I also know that you will benefit from being under lifetime chiropractic care in our office. And how does that relate to them? And how do you still get commitment? I love the person that pays in full for care for 12 months, 10 months, whatever it is that you're recommending, and they don't even have symptoms. I love that person. That's a great place to be. And that shows great levels of communication and value that you've created, that you have perfected in your practice. And we want to give you guys some of those tools. And that's what we're going to be focusing on tomorrow morning, okay? We're going to break that down from A to Z. Tomorrow morning, to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. We'll quickly discuss a couple statistics as to what they're going to say we're going to do when we get out of school. And then we're going to go over a little bit of like some startup costs and some overhead things, right? And what it looks like cost of doing business. Then we're going to start breaking down things that you can do in practice on a regular basis to create momentum out of the gate. We're going to pull the top off the practice and show you the experience. It's great. I was just listening to a podcast. Anybody know Andy Stanley? Andy Stanley. He's a great pastor out of Atlanta, Georgia. I was baptized at his church. Just so you guys know that, us being on tour together, it's a really big thing. I mean, Sam and I was in the water when Claire was baptized in a river in Atlanta where she probably got a staph infection, but she was cleansed. She was cleansed by Jesus. I was in the water when we got to baptize Claire. I was in Eric's wedding as his best man. I mean, we live life together. And I want you guys to understand one thing about Launch Tour is that we don't want to do this next year or the year after. We want to raise up the next generation so you guys are coming back to your schools like Dr. David and Taylor will and John. All these guys will come back and gals, and they're going to show into the next generation because we're going to become very relevant very, very soon, right? Because we're going to be those ones soon that are 10 years into practice. So Launch Tour is created to feed you guys back out into the marketplace so you can share the message of what you've done out of school. Does that make sense? Because we want the young population of chiropractic to have a voice. The only way you can have a voice in chiropractic is to be ultra successful. Because the dinosaurs are dying, guys. The old timers, they're all dying in chiropractic. The Mercedes 80s, that generation is going to be obsolete very soon. Who's going to fill in the gap? We are. We are. So tomorrow morning we're going to take, I was listening to that Andy Stanley thing, he was talking about how they would, at Chick-fil-A, you guys heard Chick-fil-A? At Chick-fil-A, one of their trainings is to have people randomly walk into other Chick-fil-A's and walk in the front door in regular street clothes to experience the consumer experience. To walk in and see how people greet them, how people treat them, how people love on them. Because that's what's so wonderful about Chick-fil-A. It's not even the food. Some people say, hi, welcome to Chick-fil-A. How may I serve you? And it's just some high school kid on minimum wage, just loving them from start to finish through that place, right? And serving them with excellence. And so Andy was talking about how important it is for you to understand the consumer's experience in your practice or in whatever the facility is. So we're going to take the lid off and we're going to walk you guys right through that from start to finish, giving you examples, showing you language, and talking from front to back of the office, from walking the front door to the end, right on, so you guys can have complete clarity as to how it works. Okay, and then we can start talking about once you learn that, then we can start breaking down what happens in between each step. So you have clarity, because that's where the real success comes from, is understanding all the details. So that when somebody walks in your front door when you guys are in practice, there's no question. on how you're gonna process that from start to finish. Does that make sense? We're gonna break all of that down from A to Z. We're gonna do Q&A. We're also gonna do some addressing objections. Like, man, my medical doctor told me that I can never be adjusted. You'll hear this crap all the time. Thanks, doc. What about this? You know, I've had surgery, so you can't help me. My chiropractor taught my wife how to adjust me. You guys always laugh at that one. Who hasn't heard that one before? My chiropractor taught me how to adjust myself. So I'm like, so that chiropractor's in the business of putting himself out of business. So we're going to address objections before they come up and how you overcome those things. They're called impromptus. It's things we train on in club on a regular basis. It's things that we train on in our own office with our own teams on a regular basis. You guys have this in front of you. This is your launch club on campus. So you guys have this document as to where the club meets and what times and how we train, okay? And we're very, very specific on how we train, why we train, and what we train on. So you want to be plugged into that. Tomorrow morning, we're going to start promptly at 9 a.m. We're going to go to 11 a.m. And it's going to be intense. So you want to invite some friends. Most campuses we go to, Saturday morning's bigger because they bring all their friends and their family. All right? If you have a spouse that may be working with you in the practice, or a fiance, or whatever, a girlfriend or boyfriend, you want to bring them because this applies to them as well. Because even if they're not going to work in that practice, if they're going to own a family business, it's very, very important that they're congruent with what you're doing. Okay? One of the biggest things that made us successful, all of us, is that our wives are 100% sold out for what we do, right? And they support us. Does that make sense? Can I ask you guys to do one favor for us? Did you guys get something out of tonight? That's good? Everybody got some good information? Cool. I'm going to ask you one favor. I typically ask you to do this prior to me speaking so that you don't quote something stupid that I've said. But who's got a smartphone or an iPad? Raise it up. So if you guys could, do me this favor. Post a picture from tonight to Instagram, Facebook, whatever, a quote, whatever. One time I was at NYCC, New York College of Chiropractic, not a bunch of deep thinkers there, guys. And I said something about if you really want to be successful, you need to grab yourself by the plums and start moving forward. Some girl quoted me on Instagram and freaking Facebook about that. I was like, that's the quote you took? That's what Dr. Michael Viscarelli is like, oh my gosh, my wife's going to kill me. So I was going to say, post something on Facebook, a quote from Dr. Claire, Dr. Brower, Dr. Sam, whoever, Dr. David, whoever, picture, whatever, tag launch. So hashtag launch for us, launch tour. We'd appreciate that. We want to create chatter among the students. We want to create chatter among the college campuses. People are watching all across. This thing's been on live feed. People watch these things all the time. And you can't just come to one because you keep getting layers and layers and layers. So could you guys do that for me before you leave? Appreciate that very much. Everybody enjoy the evening. I thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning.